Welcome back, everyone, to the JR The Handler Show, a music podcast, YouTube show featuring people from the touring world of country music so far, but plan to have many guests and many topics outside of just that specific genre as well. I hope everybody has enjoyed the first few episodes that we've put out. It's been a blast doing them. I've had a great time catching up with some old friends. This episode should be another banger. I'm pumped. I was just in here listening to some Burt Bacharach from 1969. Great album. I can spin a little of that. Great album. And it's so cool to be able to go on here and find any type of music you want for a couple of $100 a year for a subscription service. Sucks for the artist and everybody involved in the music business. Well, most of us. Because you don't sell physical albums anymore and the algorithms and all that stuff. But I'm sure it's good for a lot of people, so it is what it is. I'm not going to be able to change it or do anything about it. Do my best to do my part and support all of the acts that I like and contribute as much as possible. But anyway, thank you guys and gals for tuning in this week. Please go like, rate, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. The podcast should be out everywhere: Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Subscribe to those channels. Like, if it's got a place to rate, hit the 5-star rating. That will help me out so much to keep this thing going and keep it where it needs to be. I hope to have all kinds of cool things in the future involving this show. But for now, we're just going to chop it up with people from the road and get some road stories and try to have some fun doing that. I've got a guest coming on today that you guys are going to love. He's a buddy of mine that I've known for most of his adult life, not being that much because he's still a baby in my eyes, but just a stud duck, a chip off the old block. I don't even know where to start with this, so I'm just going to bring him on the show and let him tell it himself. He told me last time I talked to him, if I didn't drive this podcast smooth, it was going to be my arse. So I'm going to be as smooth as I can to bring on my brother, the one and only Rockin' Randall, Rowdy Randall, Boyd Causey. What's going on, Boyd?
Man, what's going on, dude? Good to see you.
You too, brother. How's everything in your world today?
Man, it's good. I know you're down at the beach. It's been warm for a couple weeks down there. It's finally getting warm here in Nashville. I've hit the lake 2 or 3 times already this year. Water's still freezing ass cold, but the weather's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. I remember the first time going to Nashville and somebody wanted to take me to those lakes, and I grew up on Lake Martin.
Right.
And I jumped in them lakes and was like, y'all, this is not a real lake. This is a cow pond. Yeah. No offense to those lakes up there, but man, they're rough. I remember getting bit by fish like the first time I got in. I was like,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I definitely do.
And I think that was at Percy Priest. I went with somebody. We went just somewhere because there's really no place to dock or no beaches or anything. So we get out there and I'm like, what is that? And I kept thinking, it's brim trying to get me.
Trying to have some lunch. Yeah. Yeah. I go to Percy Priest. It's closer to my house and it's cleaner. Up there on Old Hickory, that river runs through there, and it's just full of logs and
yeah,
it moves so much, it's hard to know where everything's at. All the trees,
absolutely,
are at. And as much as we wakeboard and surf, you can get hurt up there pretty easily. And Percy Priest is, it's just it's not moving.
Yeah.
And you kind of know where everything's at out there, and it's a lot deeper out there because you get off that channel in Old Hickory, you get off that channel that much, and it goes from 40 to 4 feet. I mean, like that.
Yeah, and there's low spots just everywhere. Like you said, it's different because it has the channel, and they have the lock and dam system to move barges and all through there up and down the river, to whereas the other doesn't. Same with Lake Martin. It moves because of the big dam, the hydroelectric dam on one end, and it's super deep over there, and just different kind of soil and stuff. But I was just surprised the first time, because everybody was so talked up the lake, and I thought this must be a nice lake, But I was gonna say, coming from Lake Martin, you're pretty spoiled. That's what I tell people, and until you experience that, it's hard to even get that. Yeah, I can remember. He's gonna kill me for telling this story, but my buddy Sparky one of my fraternity brothers who lives in
Yeah.
Nashville, one of my best buddies, partner for life. And so he's always had a boat. He's on Old Hickory, and
Yeah.
he's got a big old houseboat now. He's up in the yacht club. I mean, he just living the life. He and his wife live right around the corner up there, you know. But back in the day, he had a boat. He'd work your way up, you know, as your job and your whatever space to
Right.
keep
Yep.
it goes up, you get a different boat. So at this one point, I'm trying to think what boat he had. I think he had his little runabout boat then. It was probably like an 18-foot little you know, bow rider little boat, you know,
Yeah.
for us to get
Board
around.
outboard, something. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was right after the flood of May 2010.
Okay.
And we go out there on the lake and are trying to get around places, and there's so many logs of substantial size, not just limbs and little mess,
Right. Real trees,
big logs.
size trees. Yeah.
And you know, we're going to the what was it, the
Is it 2 Foot Cove that you was
yeah,
going?
we'd go to 2 Foot, but there was the Blackjack. It was the marina restaurant over there was called something for a while when we were hanging out there during this era, and we were both single too and all that stuff.
Okay.
And we would just go up there and party and get drunk, you know, just be honest. We go and on the boat, but it wasn't that crazy because we'd go in the weekdays and stuff, and we would Hurricane Hole up on Old Hick or on the river. We'd go to that and stuff. And we'd put in sometimes at Shelby Park and go all the way up to Ashland City and just cruise. I mean, it was great, man. Just drinking and smoking, riding the boat. You know, me and my boy, it was like exploring. It was awesome. It was like the childhood dream come true, you know. And so we're over there and we're dodging these. We're having to. I'm sitting on the front of the boat and just giving him hand signals left or right to dodge because we would have to go so slow if we did, we'd never make it anywhere, you know. So I'm just like left, right, or hold up, and make a decision here, you know, because there were so many logs in the river. Then I remember us going to that place, Blackjack or whatever it was called over there, because they had these great shrimp and grits, but they were with a grit cake. They had a grit cake with his shrimp and grits. It was so good. But we got hammered, right? So this is terrible to say, but statute of limitations got to be gone by now. So, but we have to get back all the way to the marina. What is it? Oh gosh, can't even think of the name of the marina, but it was across the lake from where we were. So, the one right when you come over the bridge there on the right, Old Hickory Marina, maybe.
It may be just Old Hickory Marina. Yeah, you might be right.
It's the one that has the restaurant and they do trivia night and all that up there. They have music and stuff.
Oh, where is it? Where Sam's restaurant is?
No, before that.
Is it where the rudder is?
Yes.
Okay.
That place.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have to come all the way across the lake, and we're hammered. So we're like, man, we don't need to get busted out here. So we're like, we'll go stealth mode. This was our plan. We go stealth mode. We just kill instead of or we might have had a light out, and we didn't want to chance it. So we just killed all the lights.
Oh boy.
and weren't just putt neither. I mean, we just ran it by, you know, let your eyes adjust and listen.
Yeah.
You know, and know where you know the line you need to go. Anyway, terrible story, but good times out there on those lakes.
Yeah.
Man, thanks for coming on the show. I've had I wanted to get you on here. You're on the top of the list, and there's a bunch of us. I know Wally and and Ox and all them are going to drill me, but I'm gonna holler at everybody, guys. But I just got to. I know y'all are busy too. I'm trying to get everybody I know is not doing something on that day before I start asking. And I plan on doing this for a long time. And there's 52 weeks in a year, so I'm gonna need. Everybody's gonna get. I'm gonna have a chance to chat with everybody for sure. Whoever wants to, anyway.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get you on because, man, you've got a great story. I started this podcast, multiple things. One, just wanted to talk more about music and fun facts and just chop it up in a little current events. But also, too, to showcase out there to everyone that doesn't know someone in the music business, all of the different types of roles, jobs, and occupations that are involved in the music business besides playing and singing and
besides what they see on stage.
Exactly, what everyone thinks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know everybody, all of our friends that do this for work have probably seen this thing. People have it on T-shirts and flags. It's like, we don't do this because it's easy. We do this because we thought it was going to be easy.
Exactly. I did it so I could have somewhere I could get drunk and show up late to work and not get fired every time.
Exactly. The drinking, the party, the women, it's all, you know what I mean?
Hey, it's just like that song, Showman's Life. They never told me about this part.
exactly.
That
It,
song gets more and more true
the
every
longer
year on the
we live.
road.
Yep.
Uh,
No
but
doubt.
yeah, so I wanted to do it for that to showcase all the different roles because like I say, growing up, you see the people you think that's who it is. Those people and maybe their manager or something. You
Right.
don't even know
Yep.
how many managers there are and how many it takes for certain level acts and all the
Yeah.
production teams and crews and
Oh yeah.
content people and agents and drivers and then their careers and on this. But it's
Yep.
also a tough living. You better have some passion. If you want to get in this business, you basically
For
better
sure.
just
And some thick
better,
skin. Yeah.
yeah, don't really no need in having a backup plan. Just kind of got to go all in and figure it out as it
Right.
goes, and then hope something spurs off of this that keeps you in the right
Yeah.
direction of growth and
Yeah.
maturity.
Speaking of a backup plan, man, that's I don't want to say being a tour manager or production manager was a quote backup plan, but kind of like everybody else when I was 12, 14 and got to doing this seriously and playing, I was like, I want to be that guy on stage. I can do that. I can
Yeah,
sing and play guitar just as good as any of them. And come to find out, I could not. Uh,
exactly.
Not even close. And then luckily at that young age, I realized, holy shit, there's like 40 other jobs that you can do and make a great living and still be part of the fun and not be that guy on stage,
Exactly.
or not be any of the guys on stage, not just the front man, not be the, guitar player, bass player, drum, whatever.
Any of them.
I'm so happy that I realized that so young because like you said, there ain't no plan B. There ain't no what else am I going to do that when you're in this and especially you love it as much as somebody like me and you does, like this is it.
Yep.
This is all we got.
Yeah, and you stay in it long as I have. There is no other option at this point. I'm
Right.
not qualified to
Exactly.
do anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
But I said this during the pandemic too, man. People underestimate. You think of roadies or band stuff. Man, you know as well as I do. They didn't want to turn our whole team on the workforce.
Yeah.
We take a lot of jobs, man. People out on the road are so multitask,
Oh, absolutely.
multi-tooled, multi-talented. Hours don't matter. There ain't no breaks. I mean, we're used to just whatever you throw at us every day, new situation, make it happen. Like I'd
Be
put
in
my
place
six,
36,
seven,
48 hours.
yeah, and just have to do it. And there ain't no let's talk with somebody. No, it's just what's got to happen. I mean, I would put my crew, and we don't have the world's largest crew. We've got a great crew though, and we keep
Yeah.
it that way for a reason. 'Cause everybody likes their condo bunks and
Yeah. Yeah.
nice bonuses every year. You want another
Yeah.
crew member? We'll just we'll just work a little more.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd put them 6, 7 jokers up against anybody at any job. Give them a task they'd never even done before, and give them about 24 hours, and they'll be better than whoever
They'll
was
be
doing it
knocking
before
it
them.
out. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, hell, I've worked with your crew a bunch, and I'd agree with that, you know.
And that's most of them. You
Yeah.
think about you turn loose all us TMs and production managers and stuff out to some management type roles throughout the world,
Yeah.
but we don't
Yeah.
have the qualifications because this is what you've done this long enough. What's your resume say? You're
Yeah.
on tour, and they don't know how to equate those things necessarily.
Yeah.
But you just got to say, just trust me. You just got to trust me. I don't have any pictures to show you or any resume, but if you'll trust me, I promise 100% satisfaction rate, because that's the other thing too. Our margins are 100%. Everything has to get done every time. There is no,
Hit the right
we
way
didn't hit our
every
thing.
time.
We didn't get this. We didn't get that. No, everything has
Yeah.
to get done every damn time. And
Yep.
there ain't no getting around it. But
Ain't no-
so
like
I
you said.
thought that would be cool to talk about that whole journey and the different jobs. But so before we get, and we're going to get in everything, and this will spur us on other stuff. And I've got some questions at the end. But if you're not in a hurry, we'll chop it up as long as you want to.
Yeah. I can
Um,
hang.
yeah, but let's go all the way back. You said 12, 14, playing guitar and stuff. Let's go all the way back.
And
You're from Montgomery area, Alabama,
well, so
right?
I was actually born in South Georgia,
Okay.
around like Albany, Leesburg, Georgia.
That
Uh,
makes sense now.
yep.
Now I understand some of your ways a little better. Now I
Right.
get it.
So my parents met because my mom's dad was like a contract pecan farmer, and he was doing some work at a ranch or a farm, whatever you want to call it, in outside of like Montgomery, Alabama, on a farm on Hunter Loop Road out there. And that's where my dad was born and raised. And my mom, like I said, with her dad, what he did for work, they met, and then my dad's, I'm sorry, my mom's parents, they moved back to South Georgia when my parents were in high school. My mom and dad were, 15, 16 years old. and they stayed long distance back in the 80s on like payphone, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so when they finally got married, they were, 18, 19, wherever they got married. My my mom's dad died when she was really young, and so they got married, and my parents moved to South Georgia. So I spent the first 18 years living there, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I was homeschooled, and so I would come to Alabama and live, during the summertime for 2, 3 months at a time and stay with some of my cousins or whatever. So I kind of split my time. So I say I'm from South Georgia, from, Alabama, whatever. And then when I think I was like 17 or 18, my dad's dad, who is the Boyd before me, his name was William Boyd. He got dementia real bad. So my parents, we loaded up and moved back to where my dad was from, outside of Prattville, Alabama. And,
Gotcha.
and from the time I was, sometime I could drive, I was going back and forth to Nashville, sleeping on couches and doing whatever. But yeah, I got my first guitar for Christmas. I was like 3 or 4 years old and didn't know no chords. I was just banging around. My dad was always in a band. My mom's brother, which, my dad's brother-in-law and best friend still, they were always in band. I mean, covered every damn Skinner, Marshall Tucker song you can think of. You
Love
know,
it.
my dad was a badass keyboard player. He could play bass and play drums all right, but he was a really good keyboard player. My uncle, great guitar player. So I learned a lot from them. And then, about 9 or 10, I started playing in church just like everybody else, in the South. And I just was playing whatever. I wasn't real good at any of it, but I could play drums good enough. I could play bass good enough. I could strum a guitar all right. And started doing that. And then like I said, my dad and them, they were in doing all the Skinner stuff, and that's what I really loved for a long time. And then, my mom was more on the Christian music side and a little more country, so I listened to that. And really, where I think it really stuck with me was like country music is what I want to do. We had an old farm truck on working those pecan farms at my uncle's house. That there was a Charlie Daniels tape stuck in there, and it was stuck. I can't remember the name of the tape, but it was stuck on the side that had the Legend of the Woolly Swamp on it.
Oh yeah.
And I listened to that record or that tape, shit, 100 times if I listened to it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. Oh
that's
yeah.
that's I think about 9, 10, 11. That's when I realized country music, like that's me. That's what I want. Like when I start getting to where I could play good enough and finger around some chords and put some words together, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be like Charlie Daniels, and Merle
Man,
Haggard and Waylon and all that. I've got this Waylon tattoo here. My mom actually picked this out. This is a Mama Tried tattoo.
love it.
But yeah, that's when I really knew country was it for me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's funny. I saw Merle Haggard's childhood home today on a Facebook post from
Uh,
1910, a box car that his mom and dad had converted to a house, and that's where they. And at the end, he said, "This is where Mama tried."
yeah,
You know. Yeah.
that's all.
Well, that makes sense. I'm kind of in the same boat, man. Similarly, I'm from Alabama, I claim, but I'm actually from Mississippi originally. I was
Right,
born in Jackson,
right.
Mississippi, and my grandparents, my mom and dad met over there, and moved back to Alabama when before I started kindergarten and all, to Montgomery, South Montgomery, back when,
Yeah.
when it was somewhat decent. And,
Did you and Joe Wright, were y'all in the same school and stuff?
I think we talked about that one time, but he's a hair older than me,
Okay,
a
I
year or
wasn't
two,
sure.
and I was only there. I went to Danley Elementary from kindergarten, first grade twice, and second grade, and
Gotcha.
then we moved, and then I got mugged for $2 coming home off the school bus in front of the Chuck E. Cheese down there on the Southern Bypass by the
Yeah,
mall, where
yeah,
we used to live in. Uh,
yep. I
what
know
was
what
it
you're talking
called?
about.
South Down Apartments, I think. They were nice and new. It was the first time we ever had a microwave built into the wall, and it had
Damn.
cable television hooked into ready to go. And this is what I say now. I'm so frustrated with all of the streaming services and everything.
Yeah,
All we need is that old school black little box on top of the TV with the red numbers
yeah,
that you get about 50 channels total. That's all we really need.
yeah,
It's so damn
yeah.
hard to find something to watch now. I spend
I
more time
know.
flipping through looking for something than I
For
do watching
900
stuff.
channels. Yeah,
I mean, it's unbelievable. But yeah, so I don't know. It's we would have had to been close.
yeah.
I may have, I don't know. Dalton's from around there. I wonder if I knew his mom.
Hey.
Boyd's
Yep.
best buddy and one of my other little brothers who I love so much, and I would have saw y'all when y'all were down here playing the other week.
He's
Is
actually in there somewhere. He's been in town all week.
oh, we got to get him
Yeah.
on. Oh hell yeah.
He's getting out of the shower and getting packed
Oh,
up.
tell him don't even put nothing on. Come in here in a towel,
That's
please.
what, just bring
Jesus,
a
come here in
towel
a
and
towel.
drop it. Yeah,
Oh man, let me see them
because
cheeks.
we just went to the Turnpike and Ragweed show.
Yes,
Um,
that's part of the reason I wanted to hurry up and get you on and get a
yeah,
firsthand account on all that. If you want to go into that, we can do
man.
that now. We'll go back to telling. We can go back to origin story
So
later because I got to hear this ragweed
they
stuff.
all right. So
For
for like,
anybody not
not
aware, cross
listening,
Canadian ragweed, godfathers of red dirt music, um, back in the '90s, early
yeah, man.
2000s, they were the
Like they started
kings.
in like what, like 92, 94, something
Yeah.
like that.
By the
Yeah,
time I started with Wayne Mills in '02, ragweed was big.
yeah,
And we would play a few shows with them. Some they had played a bunch right before I got there. They'd played like the whole year before with them, but we played a
yeah.
lot with Bolin and Kevin Fowler and Roger Krieger
So
and
were y'all
Stoney.
going and like meeting? Were y'all going to Oklahoma and Texas and Arkansas, or were they coming down to like play supper club and shit?
A little of both. We went there mostly. They were our people to go over there, and
Right,
Bolin
right.
and them would drift over here some. But we did a 6 or it might have been a 9 week tour with Blue Edmondson. We just
Yeah,
traded dates. Like we go do a weekend over that way, then we do a weekend over here, or 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and we took them to Valdosta and
yeah,
Statesboro and Montgomery and Troy and everywhere else, and then we'd go over there and play the Wormy Dog in Oklahoma
yeah, yeah,
City and the Firehouse in Houston and
yeah.
all these. I mean, there's so many
So
venues in Texas too, as you
yeah.
know.
So for anybody that don't know, like he was saying, they like pretty much started the red dirt scene. Would you agree with that?
Well,
Like,
Brandon Jenkins and that
yep, yep. Brandon Jenkins, Stoney, Ragweed, Bolin, Turn.
Because Bolin and Cody were roommates at Oklahoma
Right.
State.
Yep, yep. Uh,
Bolin was our closest ally, and
yeah.
Blue probably secondly, but by far Bolin and Wayne, we did a lot of shows together. I learned so much from them. I can't stress how important and how happy I am that they're finally getting some due because I have said since day one. It's part of the reason my luster for our genre has faded over the years because of acts like Jason Bolin not
Yeah.
getting the love they deserve when they deserved it because that guy's put out so many good records
Oh
for
yeah.
so long. You
That's
know,
Dalton's like number one. Him and Hank Jr. That's Dalton's like two favorites ever to
dude,
ever
cheap
walk.
bourbon whiskey and pearl snap shirts is two things that stay the same, man. I
Right, baby.
mean, anyway, I'm getting chills
Yeah.
thinking about how much I
So
love Bolin's music. But anyway, Ragweed and frontman Cody Canada, Jason Bolin, the Stragglers frontman Jason Bolin, roommates at Oklahoma State. Brandon Jenkins,
you know, and
songwriter,
then
just
Mike McClure is who like
yep,
mentored all them.
yep.
And so, excuse me, the show
And
was
they all grew up loving Lyle Lovett,
right.
Robert Earl Keane,
Yeah, Buddy
Jerry
Holly,
Jeff,
Franklin, yeah.
um,
So the
Charlie
show,
Robinson, Bruce
yep,
Robinson, all that.
Charlie and Bruce, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this past week. So April like 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And so back in September, a little birdie told me a friend of a friend from the agency was like, "Hey, just be ready. Something's happening." And I knew right then because we've been talking about this for years.
Yeah.
And so
It
I
only
went,
made sense. I mean,
yeah,
Red Dirt's back at its highest peak right now with all the other
yep.
love from around.
So I went ahead, but this is back in September. I got hotel rooms, whatever, and as soon as the tickets went on sale, I was able to get on a pre-sale, and I got tickets for Friday and Saturday. And I knew right then, I was like, I don't care who I'm touring with, who I'm working for. That Friday, Saturday, I'm off. I ain't working. I ain't gonna be on the road. And so
But this is that's one of those ones you're like, if they just got to let me go over this,
it's worth it.
I'll be on the group text
Yep.
Monday, Tuesday
Yep.
looking for a new one.
For a gig. So we fly out there Friday and get into the Airbnb or whatever, which I booked these hotels months ago. Like I said, back in September, I get an email from a hotel saying, "Hey, we're sorry for the inconvenience, but your hotel's been canceled." And I'm calling, I'm freaking out. A week before the show. I'm like,
What?
what the hell's going on? I was like, I've been a Diamond member here for years. You're canceling my room. What's wrong? oh, we're doing renovations on the hotel. It's not going to be ready. So we're not open until May 1st. And I was like, I don't think you realize what you just did. There's 150,000 people coming to a town that can only hold about 30, and you just screwed 300 something people out of their rooms. So, anyways, I booked us an Airbnb in Tulsa, an hour away, hour 15 minutes from Stillwater. Flying to Tulsa, getting to the Airbnb. We Uber down to Stillwater, and
How much
this
was that Uber?
about $200 each way.
That ain't the end of the world.
No, it wasn't gonna stop me. I promise you that.
Oh no, it's better
Uh,
to Dewey all day,
oh, for sure.
or
Trust
trying
me,
to
I know.
park and parking and
Yeah.
all. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
because you had to buy a parking pass,
You're
rent
right.
a car, all that, and I wasn't.
Walk all that shit. No, drop me off the front door.
Front
Yeah, there.
door.
I'm so frugal, but certain things, when it comes to certain things that make
I'll pay
sense,
for
I don't mind.
convenience.
Absolutely, if it makes sense, absolutely.
Yep. So man, we get into the show, and I didn't get floor tickets. I couldn't get floor tickets in time, but we were up on the first bowl. We can see everything real good because they got IMAG right and left. They got video wall, upstage center video walls, delay towers. I mean, it's a stadium show,
Yeah.
48,000 people.
Wow.
And the first night or it's the second night of the show, our first night, Friday. The Mike McClure band's out there, and we just caught the last little bit of them because we were getting in. Just takes forever to get 48,000.
With Dalton, hell yeah, dragging ass, smoking
I know.
cigarettes, trying to
Yep,
finish off a beer. They're making him
for
throw
sure,
out. I can
for
see it.
sure. So we get in, and man, we get to our seats, and I'm like, real life, this is happening, buddy. We are here. And then it's Stony. He does, like, I think it was 35 minutes. And I'm a big Stony LaRue fan. I love that
Yeah.
guy's stuff. Stony, and then
Hey, fun fact on that: one of the original members of Southern Hauler, Nick Jeffrey, when he left, I got them hooked up to go see Stoney LaRue play when we were playing down in Mobile or something one
Yeah.
time. They went and saw him after one of our shows we had played. And when he left our band and started his new band, he called his new band Stony Lonesome after seeing that. And he wasn't really even a country guy. He was a rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
Nick was great. I think he and Carrie called it quits on the road and just started a family and all that. I've seen some pictures of the kids. Great. So, but he was a great front man and singer and all that. But I remember he named his next band Stony Lonesome after
That's a
seeing
pretty
Stony
cool name.
one time at Mobile. I think I'm telling that right. Nick, if somebody passes this to Nick, tell him he can come on, and I'd love to get the
Clear it up
backstory on
just in
that. But
case.
anyway, so Stoney's great. Yeah, Stoney's
Stoney,
great.
yeah, love Stoney. I mean, he opened and closed the show with Oklahoma Breakdown, which I thought was awesome.
Shodo's got them crying.
That's right.
Hell
And
yeah.
and then bowling was next. And like I said, that's Dalton's favorite. I love bowling too. And cheap bourbon whiskey. He did if I ever get back to Oklahoma, I'm gonna nail my feet to the ground. All the bangers.
Oh man, dude, chills, bro,
I know.
chills. He's so good, man. Truck Stop
Oh, yeah.
Diaries. I mean, Como County Blue.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, Tennessee whiskey, Texas weed.
He
I mean,
just
I remember when seeing Boland's first song, right? I think it was, and I can't find it on CMT or on YouTube anywhere. I don't know if they had some dispute or whatever, but they had a song on CMT for a second.
really.
It was
Was it one of the
If
one
You
of the
Want to
big
Hear a Love Song.
Oh, okay.
It was something
I
like, if you
guarantee
want to
y'all-
hear a love song. I couldn't find it the other day. I was trying to tell somebody about it, and I could not find it on YouTube or on Wikipedia, and I mean on Google or nothing. I'm like, did this some bad thing happen there, and this had to get gone? But I remember seeing that and telling Wayne, I'm like, we got a shot. Bowling them just got on, and that
Yeah.
I mean, we got a shot if we get the right package put together in the
Yep.
song and the album. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And then Turnpike came out, and they it speaks for themselves. Everybody loves Turnpike. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They've had such a good resurgence after, God love Evan Felker after all he went through, and he's
yeah,
back on the arrow.
I told that on here the other day. We just played in Mescalero, New Mexico recently, Isle of the Mountain Gods Casino up there.
Yeah.
And we played in the showroom this time, but the last time we had played there, we played an outside thing during the summer, and the opening band was Turnpike. And this
Wow.
was
What
right
year was
before
that?
this was a month before they took the break and were on hiatus for 5 years. This would have been in like 18 or whatever, 19.
Yeah, damn.
And then, their resurgence, they're killing. Then fast forward, the next time I see them, I go to the Wharf and see them.
Yeah. Oh,
Which
yeah.
I was disappointed in our crowd. It was a good house, but I was expecting better. But still, I thought about that night. I'm like, if it wasn't for Jason Boland, it wasn't for Kevin Fowler, if it wasn't for Ragweed and all those guys, a Texas, Oklahoma band don't get to come play a 10,000 seat venue in Alabama. If Jason Boland wouldn't have went to New York City and played for 200 people at some bar,
Yeah.
on his way back, and then played for 500 in Nashville to go back and play for 10,000 in Texas.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have made those trips and lost money, those bands would never get that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wish we'd have filled it up, but it was still a good house. I mean, there had to be 5, 6, 7,000 people
Yeah.
there. It was still a good house. A lot of the
Still.
top was open. But I had great seats. Nobody was encroaching on me. I left my normal seat and just found a space because I'm all about. I just need my room. I like my space, and I didn't know anybody in their camp. And I just wanted to support the cause. I just wanted to pay up and get in.
Yeah.
But they were great. Yeah.
I don't really know anybody in their camp either, but I mean, they're a tight knit camp. From what I understand, a lot of them's been there since day one. Yeah, the whole band, as far as I know, is day one, and I think a lot of the crew is too. They may have lost some when they had to take a break back in 18, 19, whatever. But yeah, I mean, they killed it. They have such a great sound, and then after being together for the last 2 or 3 years after coming back, they've got their shit together. It's a great show.
And they've got that one big climax song too. When they break out that song about the the one I can't think off the top of my head, but
Good Lord Glory.
All day with the pay.
Oh yeah, long hot summer day.
Long hot summer day. That's a stadium. That's a big place song.
Middle intro, yeah.
And it's a sing along, and it's quick. You can learn, even if you never heard it, you learn the lyrics real quick. I mean, that's a thumper right there, buddy.
Yeah, yep. And then 25-minute changeover, and then ragweed.
Ragweed.
It's been the 2009 when they broke up, and 15 years, 16 years later, and they just come back to it, man. Just a stadium full of people, and it was every single word of every song. They knew it. Everybody knew it. You know what I mean? And he brought Bolin out to do 17. He brought
and Cody had kept chopping wood all those years with the Departed. Yeah. I mean, those just, and same with Bolin. They didn't get their love when they should. I mean, they got it, but it's just kind of like it's like I always say, they shut down Opryland in Nashville right before the big boom. It's like those guys, everybody gave up on them right before the resurgence. They're there, and then happens with the '90s guys. They get their love. About the time you don't remember any, you start forgetting about all these guys, or you don't give them the love they deserve. Everybody else is cooler. Then you forgot, which is, hey, to me it's better than waiting on them when they pass. I hate that shit in our business when people finally give somebody their love, and I'm like, y'all could have got that guy or gal on a show or a tour or something before it got to this if you really cared. But now you gonna act like y'all were best friends.
Right. Yeah, that makes me sick. I've seen a lot of that recently, especially during COVID when people were dropping like flies. I hate to say it, but there were a lot of people that was like, man, or let's like John Prine, for example. Everybody wanted to be a John Prine fan when he passed away 15 years ago. Nobody, around here, they were all bro country. They didn't give a shit about John Prine.
Right.
Man.
Yeah. Name me 3 John Prine songs then if you miss John Prine.
You know what I mean? But
sing Irish Dement's part of her song.
Yeah.
If you really love it.
But Ragweed come out, boy, and they killed it. It was just I can't even describe it. It's just
so good.
Moment. Just being there, it was just a surreal moment to
What was the walkout? Was there an announcement, or was it a film thing, or
the guy that was the football coach when they were all in school there? He went, and he must not have been a good coach, because every time he went out, about 20% of the crowd, boo.
Yeah, he got the Hulk Hogan treatment.
Yeah. So he went out and did, said some notes about all the guys and, everything they had done. And then the first night, Thursday night, we weren't there. They walked out to the Taylor Swift song, "We're Never Getting Back Together," which I thought was hilarious.
Wow. That's a good call.
The next night they walked out, was it Cowboys from Hell, I think they walked out to. And Saturday night, I can't remember what they walked out to Saturday night. But it was like something different every night. And they brought out 3 or 4 guests every night. Like I said, he brought Stoney out to do 17. I'm sorry, Bolin out to do 17. He brought Stoney out to do something else. Brought Tanner Ushery, which is a new upcoming artist for those of y'all that don't know, to do a song. Brought Caitlin Butts out to do a song on Saturday night. Cody brought his kids out. His youngest son, I believe, Willie. He's a drummer, and they had two kits on stage. So he brought his son out to play a song, and then he's got a son named Dirks Canada, which is named after Dirks Bentley, because Cody and Dirks are boys. I didn't know that.
Right. Oh yeah.
Last couple of years, but yeah, they're boys. So he brought Dirks out. He brought Dirks Bentley out Thursday night to actually do a song with him.
Beautiful. Dirks
And then,
is so good,
yeah, yeah,
underrated,
yeah,
hard-working guy. You talking about a guy 25'8" there, that guy put it in.
sure. Yeah. Shout out to
I can
our boy.
remember one time trying to take a fan photo for somebody outside of a gig in Nashville one time for a label thing. And Dirks drives his own truck up, jumps out, lets the valet
That
guy go
same
park
old
his
2008 Tahoe he's had
big old
forever.
white truck. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he jumps out with his guitar, lets the guy take the car. He's coming in. It's like a Christmas party thing for the label, which was Alan Jackson was the headliner, his whole band. And it did like everybody just like they only did full band. Everybody else was like acoustic. And Party that night when he did his songs, he had Keith Gaddis come up and play guitar with him on his songs. That was one of the longest times I ever got to interact with Keith. But Dirks got out of his truck. They took the truck around. There's a couple of fans out there, and they're wanting a picture. And I'm like, I'll take it. So I take it and give it back. And he's like, well, is it good? And I was like, I'm sure it's all right. I really would. And he kind of corrected me on that, which was good because at the time I needed that. Now I do. I make sure, and I turn it around and look, make sure it's good because that fan only got that one shot. I was just trying to get him on in the building because I knew and he didn't have anybody with him. There was, I thought I was doing my job, but the next layer of my job was make sure that picture was good for that fan too, and he wasn't going to have it any other way. And I respect him for that. And I always thought that was cool.
Yeah. Anytime I've ever been around him, he's always class act. He's great.
Yeah.
Run into him at the Opry or award show or whatever like that. He's always been good people.
And then to put Charlie Worship in his band and all that, and it only makes sense because he's always had just a great band and a great sound.
Yep. Charlie.
So
to it. He's so good.
Oh man, Miss Grenada, Mississippi, so good. Don't sleep on Charlie Worsham. Y'all download some of his records; they're fantastic. So Dirks comes out Thursday night. But you're not there for that. So but Friday night,
and then Friday night, he brought his son Cody brought his son Dirks out to play guitar. He's a good guitar player. They did two songs together. But man, it was just. I'll have to text you some videos. I mean, me and Dalton are just screaming at the top of our lungs every single word. And, everybody around, like I said, the whole stadium knew every word to every song. They just killed it. And they didn't do the same set list every night. They did all the hits. Dude, they played for 2 hours easily.
Wow.
9:30 to like 12:30, something like that. All 4 nights. I mean, it was just hit after hit after hit. It was incredible. And the production was top of the line. It wasn't, over the top like a pop show or nothing like that, but it was just enough. Like I said, they had iMag on right and left, a big upstage center video wall, and it was on automation, so it was like video wall. They could split it into 4s or 2s.
Oh,
And they had a lot of good content, and they really put a lot of time to into this show to make it worth it for everybody. It was incredible.
and that's a budget saving tip for them too, staying in the same city, doing it multiple nights, because that stuff's expensive. We talked about that I don't remember who, I think maybe it was Gossett episode we did. That shit gets expensive quick when you start talking about walls and video and people to run all that.
Yep. But yeah, man, it was. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. I probably spent $2,500 that this past weekend on just the 2 days, but I would do it again in a damn heartbeat.
Man, make sure to send me those videos, and we'll play some of those while we're talking, maybe, or in some clips I put out, or at least I'll roll those at the very end of the podcast and the YouTube. If anybody wants to watch it, and go to the YouTube channel and go there. And might as well mention that while we're here. JRThehandler.com is the home landing page for everything. You can find links to everything there. I have the new text line up, 424-HANDLER. Call, leave me a voicemail. I played a voicemail last week, Boyd, and my first voicemail I got was from Jake Worthington.
Oh, perfect.
And he goes, I don't know who your first podcast guest is, but I can't wait to hear that bitch. This is Jake Worthington. Take it easy, amigo. Oh, it was perfect, man.
Spot on.
Yeah, that was my first one. So I got that going, but need everybody, the podcast is now out on all platforms. Should be on Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, all that. Wherever you're clicking or wherever you're going to watch this or listen to it, go on multiple things, download it, all that fun stuff. All those things help the algorithm to help the show grow and help secure sponsors, to help funding, because it's one thing I'm learning too, doing this thing by myself. It's expensive. All these little
Yeah.
fees and add-ons and things, and I've
Right.
still got to order some other stuff. That, I mean, it gets expensive quick. So I've got, I've got obviously the Floor Bam and a couple other sponsors that help me with stuff
Yeah.
always. But I'm going to be looking for some of those. If anybody has a business or works somewhere or thinks the show would
Yep.
tie in well to something they're doing, and would like to talk about ad space here on the JR the Handler Show, reach out. I'd love to talk with some new people about that. Also have the Venmo and Cash App set up if anybody wants to shoot a tip over. I ain't, ain't begging, but I'll take it if you've got a couple and you enjoyed the content. Like I said, just to help cover some of these costs because the new AI stuff makes it quicker, but you got to pay for all those new services, and
Right.
then you
Right.
still got to have your service for this, and so.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if anybody wants to do that, if not, go to the jrthehandler.com. You can go to my merch page there. I've got a brand new line of merchandise up, shirts,
Yeah.
all that fun stuff, stickers, and nothing on there is over $40. Try to keep it as affordable as possible, but that's an easy way to get something and help contribute to the show, and I'd appreciate that. But make sure you like, rate, subscribe, all that fun stuff, because hopefully the show will grow. We'll get to do this for a long time and have a lot of great guests like my brother Boyd and everyone we've had on so far. But all right, we'll get back to the show here now. I'll get my little ad spiel out of the way, take care of a little business there. I want to shout out also to Cody V for keeping this thing all put together every week. He does a great job.
Yeah.
But you guys are at the Ragweed show, rocking and rolling. It's Friday night. You go drive back to the Airbnb. Who's manning the wheel on that? It better not have been you.
Well, no, we were Ubering.
Oh, you Ubered. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. I forget.
So we
It's
Ubered.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and I did a pro move about halfway into this hour drive. I'm like, we got to have some Taco Bell. So
Absolutely.
I sent us some Taco Bell to the house that got there right about the time we was getting there.
Boom.
Yep,
It don't
yep.
get no better.
Yeah, man. Yep. So we get back. I mean, I think we got back around 4 in the morning because we
Do they
went
have a
out.
pool at the Airbnb?
No, no,
Didn't need a pool.
no, no pool. But because we went out after the show, we got out at 12:30 or whatever. Hell, getting out of the stadium, whatever it took. Like I said, 48,000 people. It takes a while to get out of there. We get out and walk down, down to the strip because it's still a college town.
Right. So it's got
And
bars and stuff, things to do.
strip of bar, just like in Tuscaloosa, that strip of bars or
Yep.
whatever. It's like that, 10 bars. So we just bounced around and boy, we had a good time. And then we these new bars that have not a jukebox, but the touch tunes thing.
Oh yeah.
Me and Dalton loaded about $40 in that touch tunes.
Shit, yeah.
We was listening to the concert over again, buddy. We was
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I torch people when I go to bars because they don't understand my level of
yeah.
commitment here. There is that money. It don't matter, buddy. I'll pay
I
up
will
if I want to
pay
get.
to skip your Miley Cyrus. I promise.
Yeah, if I want to hear what I want to hear and I want to change the mood up in this room, there ain't no dollar amount. I don't. Like I said, I'm frugal about some things, but certain things
Yep.
like no, we go. I think y'all need to hear some Robert Earl Keen up in this joint,
Yep.
or some Bo Cephas,
Yeah.
or some just random rock and roll,
Yep.
something that I'm vibing
Oh,
on.
yeah.
Like I was listening to Burt Baccarat before you came on, which is so random, of all
Yep.
things. But if I'm in a vibe in a jazzy mood, and I think it needs to get a little 1969 Burt Baccarat up in here, touch tunes. Here's $20. Make it rain.
Yep. Those tunes hate to see us coming, buddy. I promise. We're gonna wear them out.
So
Yeah.
y'all are there reliving the concert as you should,
Yep.
and then y'all go back and then rinse and repeat for Saturday's show, correct?
Saturday, yeah, man. Same
Did y'all
deal.
eat? Did y'all eat in Tulsa? Did y'all have like a big late lunch in Tulsa or something? Getting ready pre gaming?
Not really. We had some food there at the house, we snacked on and stuff. And and then we ordered some wings to the house, just
Nice.
while we were just sitting around watching TV. We ordered us some wings. And so we Ubered back to the venue or back to the stadium or whatever, and had us a little meal there, and we did it all over again. It was the Great Divide. Started at 5. Stoney right after him again, killed it. Bowling, and then Turnpike again. So it was the same lineup. They did switch the order around a little bit for Thursday and Sunday, but Friday and Saturday was the same exact lineup. It was Great
Gotcha.
Divide, Stoney, Bowling, Turnpike, and then Ragweed. And then the guests for Saturday were Wyatt Flores came out with Turnpike and did a song with them. The Old Crow guys actually came out and did Wagon Wheel with Turnpike, which was cool. Um, and then Caitlin Butts came out. Oh, so apparently they're doing a Bowling and the Stragglers tribute record. And
Mm.
Caitlin Butts came out Friday night and did If I Ever Get Back to Oklahoma with Bowling. Um, so I don't know what I literally have no details, but I heard him say on the mic, we're doing a Bowling tribute record. Here's a little taste of what it's going to be. And Caitlin came out and did that song. And so I'm anxious to see who all is on that because I'd imagine Stoney, Cody, Wade, Randy, Fowler, you know what I mean? Bruce.
Who knows? Who knows? Who
Right, yeah,
knows? Keen. I mean, who knows? I
right.
mean,
It could be,
any and everybody that's
yeah,
available, I'm sure would love to.
yeah,
And then Caitlin Butts is getting some love now
yeah,
on the big, the Nashville radar. I've seen her on a couple of these
yeah,
lineups for groupings of
yeah.
next to Nashville
Her and
type things.
Cleo moved to
She's
town a
great
couple years
forever,
ago. Yeah, yeah,
and it's just she's due for sure.
yeah, yeah. She's great.
Oh man, I bet. So and then I saw on something. Did Parker McCullum come out with Ragweed
That
that
was
night?
Sunday. We weren't there, but that was Sunday. Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah, yeah. I love Parker. He's great.
Yep.
He's killing it too, man.
Yep.
If I remember right, when I first met him years and years ago, Randy Rogers was managing him, if I remember correctly. But I mean, he attached to a rocket ship. That dude just
Oh
went
yeah.
to. He's so good. Talented.
Randy Rogers, another one so good.
Oh man, him
Buy
and
myself
Wade.
a chance. Party used to cover Buy Myself a Chance.
Yeah,
Great band, great tunes.
yeah.
Randy's awesome.
Yeah, man, I love Randy. I love Wade. There's so many of them out
I
there
know.
that out in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, stuff like that that they kill it. And they may do 5,000 tickets out there, but they come east of that Mississippi and they're just for whatever reason they can't.
But I've talked about this before. It's hard for country acts, just to regular country acts, to move tickets in the Southeast.
Yeah, it has been, especially the last couple of years. Everybody, it's not
It's
singling anybody out. It's everybody.
it's everybody, and if it's more of a straight traditional type country, unless it's a legacy act maybe or something, some of those. But it just seems it's always been that way that the audiences are more receptive out west or up in the Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest has always been a great crowd. Like everybody that I've ever toured with, like Midwest has always been great for
And
whatever reason.
but growing up in Alabama, how it is, man. I said this on a podcast recently. When you go to the biggest country, in the '90s, when I was growing up, early 2000, you'd go to Pure Country in Montgomery. After
Yeah,
Jamie Johnson would take a break, Kurt Brewer would DJ playing the cheesiest
pop
rap,
it.
pop, hip hop that was
Yeah,
on the radio at the time. Just the most standard issue stuff they had, and that was what would get played. And it was booty music, and then when you go to
yeah,
college, same thing. Band takes a break, booty music come on,
yeah,
and it was always seems like everybody's too cool for school in the
yeah,
South or something. But you get out west Texas, everybody shows up early, represents Midwest,
yeah,
and not everywhere, but it just in the numbers, the
yeah,
numbers don't lie. But
right.
like just like that, those bands, that same tour where I said I saw Turnpike at the Wharf probably do 5,000 tickets maybe. They played the night before and somewhere
Probably in
west
Louisiana and did double.
and did 12,000 tickets.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
same the other week Sturgill canceled down here.
for
And the
bad
next
stuff.
night played in Birmingham. Well, they never gave an explanation, but they said it
Yeah,
was something about the promoter. But you know as well as I do, being on the inside, that could mean a flurry of things.
yeah, for
It
sure.
could have been anywhere from, and then the artist didn't want to do it for whatever reason, had something double booked, need to go do something, need to get out of it for whatever reason. Could have been a sickness of some sort. Usually they'll use that if there is. Could be a venue problem. Could have had an issue with
Right.
a permit for electrical or.
Breakdown could have been,
Well, and they canceled a week or so out, so they didn't
Oh,
cancel the
gotcha.
day of. Yeah, they gave a big heads up. That's why it was like, or most likely to me, and which I'm assuming what happened. Just be honest with you, is ticket sales were low. Promoter took a wash, paid his deposit to Sturgill, and said, "I'd rather lose whatever grand instead of 3 times that grand by having the show and not sell enough after having to rent the building and all that."
Right.
I hope that's not the case. They never gave an explanation though, so I don't know. But that proves right there, somebody like Sturgill even has a tough time way down in the South,
Yeah.
and it's just like, but if you had,
And he's
but
the
if
tough
it's,
one, right?
but if it's certain acts, if it's Morgan or if it's,
Yeah.
Hardy
Yeah.
or somebody like that. I'm sure it would be,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
I don't know, man. And I hate that it's like that. Not, I mean, I got nothing wrong with the Morgan Wallens and the Hardys and
No,
them
no,
boys are killing it and they're having a
absolutely.
great time and they're creating something that you know that will stick for a while. But it's crazy that Sturgill and Tyler Childers and Isabel and Turnpike and Ragweed uh, aren't doing the same numbers as they are. Personally, I think they should be, but that's
Yeah.
just my taste, I guess.
I agree. And it's just your culmination of your influence is what I always say. You can't expect music in general to never evolve because new influences and sounds come in that are of 20 years later are going to influence that person that
For
listened
sure.
to it when they were young. You think about it. Hank Williams and all that, he off of his influences were the blues men that he would catch around in places and the pickers that he got to encounter in his day. Same with Jimmy Rogers and all them. And then you go up to the era we talk about, the Merles and Willie Whalen, all that era. Well, what did they get? They listened to those guys who had those influences, but now there was also the Beatles and rock and roll and other things influencing Elvis and other sounds coming through. So they didn't have rap and hip hop
Yeah.
and metal to
Right.
draw from. But had they, I promise you, a Waylon Jennings record would have had all that on it, and a Willie Nelson record would have had all that on it had that existed when they were
100%.
teenagers, because usually whenever you're a teenager is what, when you're first picking your own stuff and manifesting all that, your first experiences in life and consciousness as a teenager and stuff, that's probably going to be what you lean to
That's what you shape your sound around. That's why a lot of country music
early
nowadays,
adulthood.
that's why a lot of country music nowadays is starting to sound like the Tracy Lawrences, the Clay Walkers, the Garth Brooks, because that's what we grew up on. And also listening to Megadeth and Slayer. You know what I mean? So, and like, that's what I think Hardy is the perfect example of that
Yep.
myself.
And,
Because
and then you go to Morgan, then you're talking about Ludacris and Nelly and,
for sure.
depending on what you were listening to.
But hey, man, Tim McGraw did that, him and Nelly, that over and over again. Duet, what year was that? 2005, probably?
Yeah.
So
Well,
like,
it's always, people are always going to have an opinion. It's like the Run DMC and Aerosmith thing. I mean, I thought we got it all out of the way with that, but no, we got to revisit. It's a thing still every time we want to blend genres. I think it's turned into countries kind of like metal or metal is. I mean, there's so many subgenres, but you still call it metal, but is
Right.
it's
thrash metal and heavy and yeah, all kinds of. I mean, so many.
there's a million different types in there, and same with that when you got country, but that encompasses Americana, neoclassical tradition or neo-traditional country, metal country,
Yeah.
modern hip hop country, pop country standards. I mean, there's crooner type country stuff like the Brett Eldredge type stuff.
Red
and
Dirt. A lot of people
then
say
there's Red Dirt, which is
country.
like it's not really straight up country like you would think over here because not as much fiddle and steel. But then you add that, but it's not necessarily Western swing, and it's not necessarily. And then you've got the New Orleans sound, which is its own thing, and it's the Louisiana.
Stuff, yeah.
And then you get up into Kentucky and West Virginia.
Bluegrass and country, the lines are blended there too, just as much.
And now with the advent of all this technology and kids, and you can connect with everywhere, it's only going to keep going that way. But it'll also, people will dive into niche stuff, what they like. You don't have a Nora Jones coming along when jazz was probably the least, popular genre amongst the buying crowd at the time, and become the star she had and the career she had. She didn't want to change she wanted to do what she did, and that worked, so there'll always be a space for that. And I just think it's the only thing that gets me, and this will be my only gripe if I had to say something, because the charts, as much as it used to matter, doesn't as much, but it's still, you got to figure out some way to chart these things and have classifications for them. If not, you know what I mean? I just think some stuff should be classified different in different genres. I just don't understand where we come up with these, because there's stuff on the country charts that should be and would do well on the mainstream pop charts. And there's stuff on the pop charts that would work on. And then just needs to find the format. And then when it comes to festivals and shows, my only thing is if you're going to have a music and arts festival, that's one thing, and you're going to celebrate all different types of music and everything. But if you say you're going to have this Stone Cold Country event, and then you don't have Stone Cold Country,
Yeah.
these people who are just because they're a draw are taking spots that Stone Cold Country should be, and those audience would be there for.
Yeah.
But
That, you know,
and
that,
then the fans that do go because they know it's the country thing, like where'd all these kids come from? Oh, it's
yeah.
because the act they got. Oh,
Yeah. And there's two big festivals that I know of that are kind of blending the lines on that is Rock the South that's in Alabama.
yep,
They're doing country and a little bit of more heavy rock stuff. And then what's it called? That Rock the Country Festival. That's like got
yeah,
Nickelback headlining one night and then like Hank Jr. the other night.
yeah,
They're
yep.
doing a little bit of both, which I think is cool. Um,
ACL Fest always did a pretty good job.
yeah, South by Southwest, of course,
South by
they do
Southwest,
everything.
yep. Those type things. But I don't have any gripes with music. I've said this before. Just because I don't personally listen to it all the time doesn't mean it's
Doesn't mean
not
it's
for
bad.
everyone. It's art. Like some people look at this Salvador Dali and they think, oh, that's cool, and some people look at it and think that's weird. It's like everybody likes what they like.
Yeah.
Some people don't like this voice or this type of
Yeah.
sounds. What resonates in your? I always say it's the soundtrack to your life. It's what kind of
Yeah.
music I'm making this movie. I'm the director of this movie. What music score do I want to have a go along with each scene? Kind of deal. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I'm glad that like I went to that. We played this Country Thunder in Arizona the other day, and Keith Urban played, and I thought.
Oh yeah.
It was bad. I mean, there's 20 something thousand people there going nuts. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, this is not, I wouldn't call this Stone Cold Country.
Yeah.
This is guitar driven.
He's always been more of a rocker. Yeah.
But it's cool. But I was trying to explain this to Justin on the bus. I was like, he uses his guitar as an extension of his vocal. He's kind of like almost like a
Sure.
Van Morris type music
Yeah.
thing where it's just pouring out of him and he can't get it out with his mouth. So his guitar is
Yeah.
his megaphone kind of deal. But he's absolutely a fantastic player. But those songs, I'm thinking like, if you dropped me off off a bus and said you're country music, I wouldn't necessarily. I would have take me a sec to realize that because it's just not. There's not cowboy boots and hats and fiddles and
Yeah.
and
Fiddle steel.
and that whole deal. But it's country, and he's been country for a long time, and he's evolved and grown into what he's
Yep.
doing now.
They really. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
Um,
We're
well,
we're going on the road with him. Coming up. We got 55 shows with him.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I want to get into what you're doing now, and I know I'm gonna have you again on soon, so we'll go into more stories. We'll go into
Yeah.
some different stories on that next time. But I want to real quick go back down the origin story. Coming Georgia, Montgomery, going to
Yep.
Nashville as much as possible. When do you start playing out? When do you meet Dalton Bush, your best friend who's there with you, went to the concert, who is a fantastic artist himself, that's tearing it up in the Southeast, plays the Floribama a good bit, so I get to see him. But Dalton Stone Cold Outlaw Country.
Cool.
When did you start playing out and that whole thing, and then how did that transition into having your first gig in Nashville? And whenever in there did we meet? Because I'm trying to think about that. I remember you just came up and introduced yourself to me one time, I think at the Floribama.
Alabama, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So I mean, I started going out and playing bars and stuff before I could drive. My uncle and one of my cousins, who was a bit older than me, we were a trio. We were called the Three Piece Mix.
Love it.
And yep. And
Extra sauce.
yep. And my uncle, the one, my mom's brother, he did a lot of like, Southern rock, Skinner stuff. My cousin, he did a lot of like Van Morris type stuff. And I was doing, a little bit of Merle Haggard, Waylon, and then also like I was like 15 at the time. So what I thought was cool was what was on the radio too, which would have been a lot of people that have come to become friends with now and worked around and stuff like that. Like Cole Swindell, Chase Rice, stuff like that. I was playing a lot of that. So I was like 15. I remember we were playing at a place called Mulligan's in Valdosta. It's actually the small town outside of Valdosta, Remerton.
Yeah.
On a little strip right there, they had 5, 6 bars, whatever, and we were playing there, and we were loading out. It was 3 in the morning or whatever, and I'm got a handful of shit, 2 guitars, mic stands, whatever. I'm walking down the ramp outside and there's cops walking to every bar to make sure everybody's out of the bar. Like I said, it's like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I'm 15 years old, and I'm carrying my shit down, and I just put my head down and keep walking like this. And my uncle and my cousin come beside me or behind me, and they're like, "Hey, you need to sit in this truck until they're gone, because you're gonna get the bar shut down. You're gonna get us put in jail." They're probably
And I'm assuming you didn't have a beard at 15.
I've looked pretty similar to this since about 15. Not as thick, of course,
Okay.
but yeah,
So you were
not
trying. You weren't
I
fresh
was
faced baby
trying.
phase. You were trying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was growing in all white trashy like I am. You know
Yes,
what I
that's
mean?
what
I was
I
the
always
Kevin
said. Yeah, it
Shaw.
just grows naturally, all white, trashy like this.
Yep.
But now it's coming into this. It's actually, I would call it a beard finally at
Yeah,
45.
finally looking
Yeah,
good. Yeah. So yeah, that was like one of my first memories of playing bars. I was like 14, 15, doing that. Like I said, I had to sit out and wait, excuse me, wait for the cops to leave before we could finish loading out. And then, I played off and on. Hell, still even now, I'll go back for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and me and Dalton will do us a duo every now and then. Or
yeah,
I'll come. Well, you remember like a month or 2 months ago when we was down there at the Bama, I had some time off. Dalton was playing a bunch of acoustic shows. Shit, I'll jump up there and play. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Just have some fun. And then I met a guy named Jesse Keith Whitley.
Oh, I can't
I
wait to
was,
have him on the
yeah.
show.
I was like, man, 15, 16, 17, because I met a guy named Robert Preston. I've always called him Bobby. Robert Preston. He made guitar straps, and we met through some mutual friends at bars or whatever. And that's how me and Jesse got to know each other, and how I got to know a lot of people. Um, and so I was kind of off and on, like living on Jesse's couch when him and Ashley were married. This is way, way back.
Wow.
Tuff was probably 3, 4 years old, running around, and I would go out with them sometimes and sell merch for Lori or sell merch for Joe Diffie or whatever. And that's really like when I first started doing it. Was that's really from what I remember was them. And
Selling merch, but that was your first gig was
selling
selling merch.
selling merch, yeah.
So was mine. So was Jeff Gossett's.
Yep. So many people,
Yeah.
Um, and people always ask me, how'd you get into this? And I was like, by accident, buddy.
Yep.
By accident.
Yep.
Yeah, I just love it so much. I was just willing to do whatever to be out there. And then fast forward a little bit, I'm going back to playing like full time, writing a lot. My parents moved to Alabama full time. When I was, like I said, when I was living in Georgia and Alabama, before I moved up here full time, I was driving back and forth a lot, or riding before I could drive. And then I was playing full time, and then I moved to Alabama, and then uh, I met Davis Nix and Kyle Wilson, and John George and all those guys one night at a place called the Loft that in Columbus, Georgia, that my uncle Buddy owns, and he introduced me to them, and they just anytime they were playing somewhere, I'd go see them. They'd invite me out. I got to where, they were letting me come and do duo shows with them and stuff, just us and guitars and shit. And got to playing a lot. Got to know Adam Hood through Davis and Kyle, um, and Kyle's brother Chad too. Excuse me. And
Which is just awesome because Taylor Hicks said it on a podcast we did together one
oh
time.
boy,
All in Alabama, all musical roads lead back to Wayne Mills,
yeah, for
and
sure.
and
Yep,
Wayne was big brother to everyone you just mentioned,
all
and
of them.
brothers with Adam Hood, and
Yep.
I mean, yeah,
Yep. And I was influenced, my music style changed, as I grew up from being 15, 16 to, 18, 19, 20 and on, changed from when I was younger, more of the radio pop country stuff. And then I got to dive into the Texas stuff and the Red Dirt and the Outlaw. And
same.
that's hearing Kyle and Wayne and Davis and Josh Newcomb and Hal Bruni, and the list goes on and on, as you know. Yeah, I was so young. I was always the youngest one, and everybody just treated me like a little brother and just took me wherever, and I was just along for the ride always. I was down for
And
whatever.
how old at this age were you?
I couldn't legally drink, 19, 20, maybe, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
So like
I'll
when
tell
I
you
met
this,
Wayne, I was about 22. So same thing.
I
I was
turned
barely.
21 on the road with River Dan.
Wow.
Yeah, we did two shows that day. We did a frat party in Auburn and then a private party somewhere in Florida. Um, and I had been on, I'd been out with Dan, and because Davis was managing and playing bass for him at the time. Teardrop was playing guitar and Waylon Davis playing drums. And Dan or I can't remember if it was Dan or Waylon. I think it was Dan that started the Rowdy Randall and the band he handles. That was back then. I was, like I said, probably 20 because I turned 21 on the road with them.
I got the
Yeah, yeah, boy.
for everybody out
Yeah,
there looking. There's Boyd's sticker there, Rowdy Randall and the band he handles. Great
right.
name, great name. I have it on my hat box, and
Yeah.
the hat I've got in here. I retired off the hat I have in here. I retired off the road because the last time I wore this, we did a show with Granger Smith, and it was his last
Oh, wow.
show on his farewell tour. And at the end of the night or during the day, we had rain all day.
Yeah.
And we had rain all day and mud. We were playing this place outside. It was muddy. I mean, it was just incredible. It was around the 4th of July, I think. And there was so much mud that it was up on the trucks and stuff, and it dripped on my hat, as you can see. And I tried every way to clean this hat to get it off so it doesn't look like it has bird shit on it.
Yeah.
And it's mud. It's not bird shit, but I couldn't get it off. So now I've kind of retired this hat, and this
Yeah.
is a home
Was
hat.
that it was like a racetrack mud park thing up in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
We did that last year with Jansen because
Yes.
I remember talking about it. Yeah, I remember me and you
Yes.
talking on the phone like after I advanced the show or maybe after the show or something like that. I remember me and you talking about it. Yeah.
So you go from 21, turning 21 on the road, as all rock star stories start, to then, and you're friends with Jesse Keith Whitley, son of
Yeah.
the late great Keith Whitley and the
Lori Morgan.
fantastic Lori Morgan. And I love Jesse Keith. I can't wait to have him on the show because
Yeah.
he's one of the few guys when I go to one of these events where we've all got to go to for a legend or something that
Yeah.
I know I've got to step my game up because Jesse Keith is bringing the heat. He's going to be dressed
yeah.
to the nines, a new
Always.
pair of boots, new pearls every time. He's going to be looking
Always.
sharp, have that beard razored edged,
Yep.
and
He's
go
always
give
got
me a
nice jewelry on.
nice jewelry. So I got to double down on all my bling
Yep.
and all my
Yep.
my decor. Which if anybody sees me at the shows currently, that felt cowboy hat I've got on it, it's got a bear paw on the side, turquoise bear paw hat pin, and that I got that from Brother Boyd. So
Yep.
if y'all see me at a show,
remember
let me
that.
show it to you. I'll show it to you. But I appreciate that. Help my bling collection.
Yep.
But so you meet, Jesse Keith. You're out on the road with all these regional stars because if you don't, all these names, go back, rewind this, listen to all those names, and see and find those people because all of these people are fantastic artists, songwriters, entertainers in their own right. You're going to hear me talk about Adam Hood basically every episode I ever do on here because he's
I
one
was
of my
on the road
favorites.
with Adam like right after that. So
And dude, have you ever met a more hardworking guy that's as talented as you? You talking about somebody that needs his due?
buddy, you ain't kidding. You ain't lying. I mean, nobody. And you and I both have worked with a ton of great artists and hardworking artists, but I swear there is nobody that works harder than that dude right there.
Nope.
And just been at it for so long. Hey,
We
I
would
remember
play at the supper club, and he would stop by because he played somewhere else and would say, "Hey, let everybody have a beer or whatever." I don't even know if he was drinking then. I guess he still was. But then they would get in the minivan. Him and Patty and whoever would go in a minivan and be going to Texas to play an afternoon show on Sunday. Then they play there all week. He might have to fly to Nashville to do a songwriting thing. The band drive back. Then they play back in Opelika on a Friday. He did that for years. And anyway, yeah, can't get somebody give Adam Hood his damn due. Y'all go look up go buy every Adam Hood record there is. I promise you.
There ain't a bad one. I promise.
And the proof's in the pudding with everybody who's coming up. Bloodline, the rise of the Muscadine Bloodline is so awesome for me because I hear in their songs the Hood influence, and obviously he wrote a lot of them and stuff. And I'm just like, yes, they get it like I do, and they do a great job flipping it around in their style.
Yeah, and man,
Caleb King also. Caleb King has done a couple.
Yeah, I love that dude.
Yes, he's
Adam's
awesome.
One of those people that, he's not selling 5,000, 10,000 tickets, but those people that are selling 5,000 or 10,000 tickets, they are the biggest Adam Hood fans you'll ever meet.
Absolutely.
He is one of those guys that's just famous to the famous people.
Absolutely. If I ever meet new people from Texas and I don't have an in, I always say I'm from Alabama, where Adam Hood's from.
Yep.
And that usually does. We love Adam Hood. We love that. That always works. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Every time. I was on the road with Adam, tour managing, selling merch too, and driving because, when I was with Adam, I know he's kind of had a bus off and on here and there over the years and stuff, but it was me and him in the band driving his SUV. He had a Ford Flex, a baby shit green Ford Flex that he had forever. He finally retired it these past couple years, but man, I think he probably had shit, no kidding, four or five hundred
I
thousand miles.
remember that. That's one of the ones I'm talking about. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
van.
Yeah, I did a lot with him. Brittany would come
We'd
over.
leave some party over there, and I'd be tagging along just so I could go to someone's place to drink and crash on their couch still because
Yeah.
I didn't have a spot in Auburn, and I'd go with Hood, and we'd end up over at Chris Posey's house and Joe
Oh
Wright and
boy. Yeah.
Stephen Sorrells would be there. You remember Coach Sorrells?
Yeah. Yeah. Vaguely. Yeah. Yeah.
But dude, this is funny. That's his sister. I saw her at Wayne Mills' event, and she
Yeah.
had these little pictures of him as a kid made into
That's
stickers. I can't wait to see Coach Starles. Well, Coach Starles was Joe Wright's original road manager when I first met
Oh,
Wayne Mills,
man.
and Steven was like me. He was just out of college. He was like ended up being a famous high school or football coach, and now he's coaching in the Canadian football leagues as a offensive line coach up there. Been doing it for years, doing great. Got some big hardware from winning.
Yeah.
But he's one of the ones that taught me the ropes right out the hole with how to do anything because I didn't know anything. I didn't have anybody who played. I didn't know anybody in the band. I met Wayne. He said, "You're pretty sharp on your feet late at night. You might as well be in the music business." I said, "How do I do that?" Well, first I said, "I'm from Eclectic, Alabama. Might as well be a damn astronaut. How do you get in the music business?"
Yeah.
He said, "Come to Tuscaloosa on Tuesday. I introduced you to my road manager. You can hang out, help sell shirts, see how you like it."
Yeah.
The rest is history. And then I went up there, saw that show, and like I thought Wayne was like a young Charlie Daniels, going back to that, and I just thought Charlie Daniels 2.0, Allman Brothers, redneck hippie. I'll hitch my flag to this. This is exactly what I'm about. Party time, good old boys, roll tide, love the South, love mama, eating and drinking and having a good time, country music, Southern rock, jam band music. Because Wayne's band was more like, kind of like I always say now, Justin's band is like a Southern rock band. A classic
Who was in
rock
Wayne's
band
at the time?
with a country singer. Wayne's band was a jam band with a big cowboy singer.
Yeah.
Was basically Wayne's band. When I met Wayne, was Dave Peso Wost on guitar, Adam Guthrie on guitar, Will Hudson on drums, Stacy Morris on bass, and Trey Evans on piano.
Yeah, well, that's a powerhouse.
And Brand Balls Beasley was the road manager, merch guy, and he let me work under him until one night Wayne hastily made the decision in the Econo Palace next to the supper club that the executive decision had been made, and I would be the new road manager. And I'm like, I'm hammered, and me and Brand are partying, and I'm Brand, like, I look over, and I didn't know it was coming either. I'm like, I don't want – Brand's good. Let Brand keep doing it. I'm good. Yeah. I'll just hang out, be the go get it guy. And but so anyway,
when you were on the road with Wayne, was Rowdy ever on the road with y'all?
No, we met Rowdy later. This was Kurt and all them. That was after I had left Wayne. I left Wayne, which is funny. Coming up, we're playing in Talladega the end of this month, the night before the race. Yeah. And the last time I played Talladega, we opened for 38 Special there, and I think Shooter Jennings also.
With Wayne.
And that was the night Wayne and I broke up.
I've heard you tell this story. You've told me.
So that would have been about 06, I think.
Yeah.
And then after that, and so when I was with Wayne, when Jamie Johnson was our open, it would come open acoustic, and we would have to try to give out Jamie Johnson, they call me country albums, to club owners to try to get them to pay him a couple $100 to open, and they wouldn't do it, so Wayne would just pay him out of our cut and stuff like that. But then fast forward to I'm doing Southern Hauler. Wayne's still doing stuff with Jamie. I meet John Party. Wayne's out on the road with Jamie, and Rowdy's doing that record on him and stuff. During that time, Wayne and I were estranged. We were still friends, and obviously I wish if I could go back in time, I'd have done a lot of things different. Sure, he would have as well when it comes to our deal there, but we never had any hard feelings. He was still my big brother. It was a pissy family matter more than anything between me and him, but it wasn't nothing, too crazy. It just had to happen at that point, and we made amends and were brothers, and I was so glad we got to catch up because I would go chase him down anywhere I could there once I got in a situation where I could get around better, and we hashed, and there was no problems. So that was great. But yeah, that was prior to Rowdy Jason Cope and cutting those records when he went out to California and did those records and stuff.
Yeah, man.
With actually, people don't know this either. That's one of the first records Dave Cobb ever did when he came to town was a Wayne Mills Band record.
Really? Which one
Yep.
was it? The
That
one?
was the same one Rowdy worked on. I think that was all that. That
Yeah,
was the
awesome.
what was that? Not Last Honky Tonk.
It was before the last honky tonk,
Think so. It was one
because
before that.
or did who did the last?
Which
honky
sucks
tonk?
because you can't find all these records on
Yeah,
iTunes.
I know.
I need to get
me
with,
and
and I've
Dalton
talked
were
with the
doing it
family,
today.
and obviously they told me to do whatever. I just need to I need to take the reins on that and get that handled for them.
Yeah, yeah. So after just talking about Rowdy or whatever, after Hood, I was on the road with Hood. Brittany would come out with us some, and it was a lot of acoustic stuff. Or I don't know if he still, I don't know, I don't think he still does. At the time, he had two bands, a band for the Southeast and a band in Texas. And so me and Adam and Brittany and the girls would ride out there and meet the band in Texas. And so like, his two, not the oldest girl, damn, I'm drawing a blank. Ashlyn is his oldest daughter.
Yeah.
And then Edie is obviously, named after Jason and them. She was the youngest, and she was like, I mean, an infant on the
Right.
road. And yeah, Drew is 3, 4 years old at the time.
Gotcha.
And Edie is like I said, in a car seat and diapers, can't talk, infant. You know what I mean? So they were on the road with us, a couple times, maybe one weekend a month or something like that. They would go out with us. And then I quit going out with Adam as much, and I was going back and playing full time. And then Davis called me one afternoon because me and Dalton had a house gig in Montgomery on Thursday nights, at a place called Rick and Moe's, and every Thursday. And that place, we'd pack it out, man. It took a couple years to get there. It went from 2 people to 10 people to 50 people to about 200 or something after 2 or 3 years. And one Friday, I was hungover. I mean, on my deathbed, as I was most Friday mornings. And I got a phone call from Davis, and it was like, "Hey, man, I need you to drive to Nashville to drive the Steelwoods this weekend. Their driver fell through or whatever." And I always, from the first time I heard him, big fan of the Steelwoods.
Oh yeah.
And I loved Rowdy, and Wes is from Alabama.
Yep.
And then Johnny Stanton was on bass, and Jay Took playing drums, and it's just a monster band.
So you did a big gator tail and drove your ass to Nashville.
And got my ass I mean, like I said, I woke up at, the crack of noon, and got out and drove straight to Nashville, got there, 4 or 5, and damn, jumped in I think we were in a church bus. Yeah, church bus. Drove the church bus, and I started full time with them after that first weekend. It just clicked, and I was full time with them. And this is why, if anybody ever complains to me about how shitty their gig is or how much they're working, we were in a church van. Sometimes the van caught on fire on us 2 or 3 times. And then we were in like a church conversion bus thing, and then we were in not a Sprinter van, but just a regular 15 passenger, and finally moved up to a bus. But there was one weekend we had like 4 or 5 different configurations of van, trailer, church bus, trailer, bus, trailer. The trailer took a shit on us. We had to go buy a trailer and cross load it in the middle of the night. And then,
ain't nothing like the transmission going out,
Oh.
and they put. I remember one time going down to the Keys to do some gigs with Southern Hall. The transmission went out in Live Oak. We got to shoot on a Sunday, of course, our day between a day between Biloxi and Alamorada, and get a shade. Finally, trying to find some. We're 5 of us in a hotel room trying to save some money, trying to find a shade tree mechanic. He puts one in. Me and Terry, I think Terry came up with the money, and it was supposed to be right. Of course, we realized, a couple hours down the road, it wasn't the right kind or something. So we're having to stop literally every 75 miles to put transmission fluid in this thing all the way down there. We get there, we're like, great, we got 2 weeks. Then on the way back to Nashville, stopping every 75 miles from Key West to Nashville, buddy.
That's a long haul.
I took that van, parked it in my front yard, put $600 in shoe polish on the front, $600 cash, and I went over there and got a loan, borrowed some money from my grandmother, and went and bought the 12 passenger Whitey Ford van
Yeah.
that is still in service today with Jared Hovis driving it. That was the party bus all those years that I sold back to John Party. I went and sold it that day because I was like, I can't deal with this no more. Because we had been on a couple of weeks of that. Like the week before, something happened, and I had to go, 2 hours south of Nashville. I had to get somebody to come get us, bring me back home to get my truck to go back and get the trailer. Oh yeah.
So at that time when I was with the Steelwoods, it started out with me just driving and like selling merch a little bit, but then it turned into driving the van, selling merch, half-ass running monitors and like guitar changes. And then I was still doing like a 30-minute opening acoustic slide. It turned into it started, but it's like I've always been that guy. Hey,
tour manager has to wear a lot of hats, buddy.
I wasn't even the tour manager at the time. A guy named Garrett was still one of my best friends. I lived with him till about a year or two ago. He was running front of house and the tour manager, and I was driving the van, selling merch. Like I said, half-ass kind of running monitors, doing guitar changes, and then I would do like a 30-minute opening acoustic slot.
Wow.
So yeah, you can't say we didn't earn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel like, and I feel like it's almost a disservice if you came up and went straight to a bus. I was you don't get the full experience if you went straight to a bus. No. And I get it. I would have taken that chance too. I would have taken that opportunity had I gotten it. But in retrospect, coming up from from the bottom, going through learning how every aspect of the business works from that level up, so you can have some perspective when you're talking with someone who had to go through that. And in being a tour manager, knowing how coming in at merch and all these other roles and doing all it, then when you get to the level where you're a successful tour manager for a big act, you know what everybody else's jobs are supposed to be. At least somewhat. You have some reference for it, so you can you're not micromanaging, but you're making sure they're on task and you're giving them the resources and tools they need to be successful. It's a lot easier when you've done that job.
And I was about to say, I think it makes me a better tour manager to know I've done every job on the road other than like front of house and LD. You know what I mean?
And you've done that at a small level at bars and clubs.
For sure. Yeah,
same.
Sure.
That's what I always say. I could still go do that. I still do it at the Floribama. I did it for Craig Campbell and them 2 weeks ago. But that's our little PA there. I know how to run it. But as far as that big stuff we have on the road, all that shit, Jeff, that ain't no way, man.
Yeah. But, I've done it all. Hell, I had a bus driver pass out at a fuel pump one time, and I had to drive the bus the rest of the weekend. I had a truck driver not show up one time. I had to drive the truck and tour manage. You know what I mean? Like,
you just get it done.
You just get it done. It don't matter what it takes.
Goes back to that. There is no margin. It's just all got to get done. There ain't no, we got most of it done today. No, it's all got to get done every day.
Yeah, it ain't like, we'll just leave that one bus here. We'll leave that one truck here. Like, that's not an option.
No. So you go from driving and doing 12 jobs with the Steelwoods, and this must have been about the time we met, somewhere in this era here.
Has to be.
How did you know to come talk to me that day?
Because I was I'm if I'm remembering correct, it was when I was in between Adam Hood and the Steelwoods. Me and Davis were down at the Bama. Probably, we were probably supposed to be there for a day or 2 days and got stuck for 2 weeks. You know how that whole deal is.
Me and Jason Parker used to do that every summer a couple of times.
Yep. And so me and Davis were playing, and I was, I don't know, 22, 23, mate. No, I couldn't have been that old. Because I remember when I was 23, it was when I started with Clay Walker. So I had to have been younger than that. And so me and Davis were down there playing, and Jordan Rager was hot at the time. He had just hit, and he was on tour with y'all doing acoustic opening for Justin. And I was a big Jordan Rager fan, and I played All Out of Beer. And Davis was like, "Hey, you need to go talk to this guy. He was with Wayne. He's with Justin Moore now." And I was like, "Man." So I just talked, and I probably talked your damn ear off for 2 hours.
I do remember that now, you saying, I'm a big fan of Jordan Rager. And I was like, that's cool. He's out opening the tour for us, man. He's great. And anybody who doesn't know, Jordan Rager is fantastic. When I met him, he was out on tour with us doing acoustic. Then he brought his full band, which his full band at the time included a left-handed guitar player named Travis Denning. But Jordan's from North Georgia, and he still, I know he was doing some Whiskey Wednesday things with songs and stuff, but he's such a good singer and songwriter. I think that's kind of more what he's doing. I know he's still doing
a lot of writing now. I don't know that he's as much, but he's writing a ton. Yeah. And he's never really tight. We've met him times out drinking buddies and stuff like that, but I've always been a real big fan of his stuff.
Me too. And his brothers are all cool. His parents are great, and his uncle's a knucklehead. He's
it
got two brothers at least.
well, I think, is his dad a preacher or one of his brothers was like a
Yes.
work leader or
Yes,
something?
his
Yeah.
brother works as a big wig in that world
Okay.
content and stuff
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the
They're all just
faith
talented.
Christian world. Yeah, and his uncle we used to come to shows all the time, and he was more like one of us. He was looking for the beer
Yeah.
cooler, you know.
Yeah.
They were a
Yeah.
hoot, but he was great. So yeah, that must have been about that time,
Yeah.
and we met down there at the world famous Floribama, which thank them for everything they always do for us.
And you know
Um,
what? I think I don't even know if I was old enough to drink when I met you because there was a weekend down there that I remember very distinctively that a female manager in the main bar kicked me out two or three times that weekend because I kept saying I left my ID at the River House, knowing
yeah,
damn well I was, 2 or 3 months shy of being 21,
right. That
you know?
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
So we meet down there. We swap numbers. We're buddies. Then I always liked I always and then I met Dalton about that same time.
yeah,
And I was back around the Floribama more trying to meet. I was trying to
yeah,
reconnect with that. And like you said, because when you're in the game and you're in the business, sometimes it's not you have blinders on, but not really on purpose. Like I wasn't trying
yeah,
to go back there, but when we went to doing all these national touring stuff, I just didn't get back home as much, and I wasn't around the scene. But when you're doing the regional scene, some of these towns and venues are like a home base where you're going to
yeah,
be every month or two, and you get to catch up and you keep your ear to
yeah.
you hear what's going
You
on. So
know,
I
about
wanted to
every
be
6 weeks, you're going to see the same group of folks. And yeah,
yeah. So I wanted to be around more, and that's about the same time I met Riley Green down there and told
yep,
management
yep,
about it. And then during the pandemic, I met Ella Langley, who we're all friends with. And I try to tell people in Nashville about these people I meet at the Floribama, but they all sleep on me. But I'm working on that. I'm working on this management type thing and trying to get some
yeah,
help that chain with artist stuff and songwriting stuff. I want Joe Gilchrist is watching down on us and nodding his
oh,
head
yeah,
and winking right now, thinking about that. I know his birthday's coming up soon. But do what Joe would have done. Just try to help connect the dots for everybody,
yeah.
because that's what we do is connect people. I was talking to John Lazard the other day,
Oh, yeah.
with Low Cash now, was with Chase Rice for all
Yep.
since his
When I met him
inception.
when we were doing spring break stuff with Chase Rice at Spinnakers and shit.
Yep, and he was saying that it's just always been the connector. It's not what you can get from people, it's how you can help connect and
Yeah,
do things.
yeah,
But so I was back around there more and trying to relearn, what was going on, and then so I meet you, and then fast forward a little while, the next year or so, I'm in Nashville, and I'm sure we've talked some since in between these
yeah,
events,
yeah,
because this is back when I was drinking heavy, so some
yeah.
things are blurry. You know how that is.
Oh, yeah.
But then I get a call, and you're in Nashville. We're doing Tracy Lawrence's turkey
Oh, yeah,
fry
the
for
first fry.
for Thanksgiving, and by this time, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And you're like, "I'm working for Clay Walker now."
Yep, yep,
So I'm like, oh, you're stage managing and teching for Clay Walker at this point, I believe. And
yep,
Clay was doing the show with us, and I'd never done a
yeah,
show with Clay. I've heard some
yeah.
unique stories about him, and
Sure.
always was a fan of his music and his swag and all that from music videos and his
Yeah,
albums and stuff. It's really wasn't it was more of the Clay was always more of the swooner boy. He had the girls always liked to dance to,
for
but
sure.
just
We
great
always
stone
made the
cold.
joke, like when we were on the road, even, in his younger years, of course, but even later in his career until now, we always made the joke. There was a couple songs the was like, how'd it sound tonight? I said, boy, there wasn't a dry seat in the house.
Yeah, there's an age group of women that boy they
Oh,
and
no.
I tell you, if you want to know why Clay Walker got to have this big long career like he did, go back and watch one of his first performances at the Houston Rodeo
Oh,
when
yeah.
he was young on YouTube, and that right there will let you know, whatever you've seen or done since, whatever you
Buddy,
think,
he
watch
had
that and
that
tell me
on
that ain't country.
VHS on the bus. And we watched it like I don't know. I probably watched it 2 or 3 times over the 5 years or so I was with Clay. He had the original recording on VHS on the bus.
Really? Did he watch him?
Yeah.
Did he watch himself?
Well, we like when I was real young into my career with Clay. I was always asking questions about, hey, what was Rodeo Houston like, San Antonio Rodeo, all Green Hall, all this stuff. And he was like, look, he was like, I'm gonna find that tape, and digging through drawers, and we finally found it, and I watched it, and it was, I mean, it was awesome.
It was
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, that's a
awesome.
great country performance. I mean, he sounded great. His
Yeah,
movements, everything is out. Everything was on point. It was just
yeah.
great. So you end up working for the infamous some now Clay Walker, which I've got to bring that story up. His new tour this year is called the Drive Me Smooth Tour.
He
After the
sells
famous,
that at the
he's
boat show.
selling it. He is something else. Let's just say that
Yeah,
he is something else. Y'all can do your
yeah,
backstory on that, but there's a video on YouTube of Clay Walker having a conversation, let's say, with his bus driver about the driving and the laundry situation on the bus, and this bus driver's commitment to the organization.
yeah.
That's pretty infamous. And Clay has just it kind of doesn't shed a good light on him. Let's just, for lack of better
No, but
words.
he's capitalized on it.
But he has capitalized on it. But he's calling his tour the Drive Me Smooth. The only thing he left out was the MF at the end of it.
Yep,
But the Drive Me Smooth tour. Were you on the road with him during this?
I sure was.
You were the
I
tour manager during the
was.
infamous Drive Me Smooth incident.
I was in my bunk asleep. Uh, but all right, I'm going to give you the whole story that I can
Without
tar-
breaking any NDs
without
or causing
tarnishing my
hardship.
NDA.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I've said this on a couple episodes already, guys. We're not telling the hardcorest of hardcore stories
right.
yet.
Yeah,
Skinner don't play Freebird first.
right.
Boyd's gonna have a book. I'm gonna have a book. We're gonna save some for that. And if this podcast blows up and sponsors come on and it's worth telling it, then we'll have
Yeah.
have to figure out then what we're gonna tell. But for now,
All
we're
right.
gonna tell the
So
parts we know we can tell and keep everything afloat.
we're out on the West Coast, some or West Coast, Midwest. I want to say this particular day we're in Colorado. And it was one of the, you know how it is when you go out on the West Coast, you've got to play so many shows to make it worth it, to
Right.
make it worth having the trucks and the buses out there. And we had been out for a couple of weeks, 3, 4 weeks consecutively. Nobody flying home. Clay may have flown home once or twice, but we were doing shows about we were doing like 3 on 2 off, maybe. You know what I mean? We were working a lot.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And about halfway through this run, I had we were running 3 buses and 1 truck and maybe 2 bus trailers. And I had Clay's bus, our star coach engine blew up about an hour outside of the first show of this
Oh.
like month or 6 week long run. We're in Reno and we had a 2012 Prevos and it
And he
just
owns his own bus.
right. Yeah. A lot of those 90s guys, him, Tracy, Lawrence, and Bird, like, they own their own buses, consoles, they own everything. And so it's on me as the tour manager to see that it's fixed, to take care of all that. And it's middle of touring season, you know what I mean? It's like June. So getting another star coach is almost out of the question. So anyways, bus takes a shit and I'm finally about I don't know, it probably took me 3 days to find a bus first of all and then to get the bus to us, you know? Um and so I get the bus out there and everybody knows the reputation, good or bad, that Clay has with drivers. He's been doing this for 35 years. He's had some great drivers and he's had some that's not. And if you are in the bus driver world, you've like you said, you've heard the unique stories. So we get on this bus and we're doing a couple of shows and we had a day off in, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's Colorado. And I put the bus drivers up at a hotel. We've got the whole day off. And so it's been, a week or so. I'm like, hey, strip the bed sheets, comforters, everything. Y'all take the day, do laundry. We got here at the hotel at 8, 9 a.m. We're not leaving till 10 p.m. You know what I mean? You got all day to get your rest, and we're going to do laundry. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe we got in the night before or something. We were there in plenty of time for them to get 8 or 10 hours of sleep and still take an hour, 2 hours to wash the laundry and just do sheets and stuff. Because I had 3 drivers, 3 buses. Um, and so this driver, this is his first tour bus driving job ever. He
Oh
was a
wow.
26-year-old driving a dump truck that a small independent bus company that I found this bus from, put him on this.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm not going to say any names, but very inexperienced driver. He was a good kid. It's just, like
And
I said,
because after this is post pandemic, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, because everybody out there listening, during the pandemic, everybody went on shutdown, just like with pilots and a lot of other stuff. A lot of people in our industry left, retired, went and got other jobs. And when then we were cleared to go back on the road, a lot of people didn't come back.
Virgo drivers, yeah, yeah.
Everybody was scrambling for drivers. I mean, we had a couple one time. They had to be in their almost 90s, and I can remember the lady, Miss Jeannie, was co-driving for Justin's bus. Eddie, they left Nashville. Eddie goes to sleep, so would you get me up whenever, and I'll get us on into whatever town. Eddie said he falls asleep. A couple hours later, he's realized we're not going. So he gets up, goes up there. She's asleep in the front lounge, and we've only got about 20 miles down the road. And she just said, I got tired, and was like, honey, well, you could come get me up. We got to keep going. Yeah. This bus can't stop. Yeah. So after the pandemic, when the reset happened, we were struggling to fill all these spots, even with crew, with bands. A lot of band members moved around. A lot of crew guys and gals stopped. New people came in. So you got a lot of new people trying to get experience without experience. And also during this time, everybody stopped at the same time. Normally, tour cycles and things kind of interact and change, and people take a year off for half a year, and we don't, don't do this year. Well, when the pandemic happened and then the reset happened, everybody went back to work at the same time. So everybody was pulling for what few resources there were in the touring world all at once from all genres, and there was a big shortage. So that's where you get a 26-year-old dump truck driver driving country music legend Clay Walker.
Right. And so, like I said, I can't remember if it was, the night before or late or like super early that morning, but the bus drivers all had enough time to have an 8 or 10 hour sleep and still do sheets and pick us up. All right. And so we had the day off. Clay, everybody knows Clay's a big golfer. Great. He's a fucking great golfer too. So half of my guys I send to the golf course for the day. Me and the other half of the guys, I rented us a boat, and we're just going to have us a big day. And so I told the bus drivers, you know how it is. You group text everybody, hey, buses are leaving the hotel at 10 p.m. I've got a reservation set for us at this sushi restaurant. We're all going to meet here at 8 o'clock, have dinner. Buses will be here at 10 o'clock. We're rolling on to the next city. Randall had been drinking all day.
Oh, yeah.
Driving the boat all day. I got my food to go and went and got my bed because, our work don't stop. Just because it was an off day and we had a couple of off days here and there, I'm wore slap out.
Absolutely. So try to have a little fun, get a little sun, get some food in your belly. It's time to, on your off day, get some rest.
And so
before the phone and email and text start again.
For sure. So I get in my bunk and I wake up. I know the bus is supposed to be moving about, 9:30 or so, because to get to the restaurant to pick everybody up at 10 o'clock, bus ain't moving. I set my alarm at 9:30, bus ain't moving. Can't get the driver on the phone. Can't get him on the phone. Can't get him on the phone. I know what room he's in, because this is the third time I've had to go to his room and wake him up. And I already knew I was going to have to let him go because it was the third time. And I already had another driver on standby to come in. So anyways, I go to his room and wake him up, get down to the bus. We roll on, we get to the restaurant. So I go back in my bunk. Hey, we're at and I had already texted Clay and texted the guys, hey, we're running a little bit behind. You boys, get you another bottle of wine, whatever. It's going to be about 10:30, maybe 11 before we get there. So we finally get in there. Driver goes in to get him some food and eats, comes back out to the bus. And like I said, I went back to bed. And the driver texted Clay, not me, texted Clay, let's go. You're cutting into my drive time.
Ooh.
Oh, boy. And you know the rest of the story. And so
that's where it all started. He texts Clay, you're cutting into my drive time.
After he was over an hour late.
Wow.
And he was, like I said, it was the third time I had to go to his hotel room and wake him up.
Wow.
And so, that's the whole, the all of it that I can tell. The rest.
Yeah, I mean, we'll play that at the end of the show after we play some ragweed footage. So that makes sense. It's a professional driver, and you're not that.
You are not that. My favorite part of that whole video is like, you get ready to drive and drive me smooth, or you're going to regret it. And
then when he says or when he says I could whoop you with one hand tied behind my back. And no offense, I'm sure Clay's wiry and I'm sure he's scrappy, but Clay don't really walk in the room thinking I mean, he probably knows judo and stuff, so he probably can't destroy me.
Yeah,
But he doesn't look like the type of guy that's whooping many people with one arm tied behind
right.
his back, especially with his,
He can give him a hell of a chance, though.
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. But so that was that. So then you wake up. So then you wake up. Do you wake up hearing this altercation?
No, I never because as loud as it sounds on the video, it really wasn't all. I mean, it wasn't loud enough to wake me up, and I was
Who
in
was filming the video? The driver himself.
another driver. Like I said, I had three buses and three drivers out at the time, and
So you had a co-driver bouncing back and forth to make miles.
yeah, yeah. So he was in the jump seat and filming it.
He just said, "I got to get this. It's too
Yeah,
good." Thank God he did.
yeah,
Oh, so then you come to the next day. You have it's a show day.
yeah.
How long before that and the video comes out and you start
Oh,
seeing the
over a
information?
year.
Oh wow! So it was over a
That
year
video
before that.
didn't come out for over a year. Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when it finally does get leaked, are you
I
still?
was not with Clay. I was already gone at the time. I was with Cody
Okay.
Jinks at the time,
So you had
and
left Clay and now you're working for Cody Jinks. Was that the
yeah.
next step after Clay was Cody Jinks?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that morning, the co-driver was like, "Hey, I got this video. You want to watch? You want me to send it to you?" And I said, "Do I don't send it to me because I already knew what happened because my lead driver told me.
Right.
Because I was flying him in already to come do some driving anyways because he was my lead driver, but he was out dealing with the bus engine getting, he was with the
Yeah.
bus doing some stuff
Right.
for the bus that we were getting the new engine in. Anyways, he called me and told me what was up. And the co-driver that filmed it, he was like, "Hey, I got this video. I'm going to send it to you." I said, "Do not send that to me. I don't want it on my phone."
Because I'll send it to Dalton, to JR, and everybody in the
I
world's
said,
gonna have
"Don't
it.
send it to me." And so he sent it to a bunch of bus drivers. And
Ooh.
that's how it eventually got out like a year later, got posted on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And yeah, so I had to send both of them guys home that day. I put them on a plane. I had two more drivers out there that night.
Wow. And I guess they learned their lesson and they drove smooth from there on
They
out.
never drove again, to my knowledge.
Wow.
One of them went back to driving dump trucks, and one of them was a prison guard.
And somewhere during this time, we did shows together with Clay out on the West Coast
Like,
because
yeah,
that was
not long after the incident happened, but the video wasn't out yet, like
right.
leaked. Yeah,
Yeah, because we'll tell that story next time you come on. Because you and I, we meet up out there. I'm in full form. That we're out in California. We've got some
yeah,
guys that come from the Bill Graham tree of promoters running this show out in wine country and near Humboldt County and all the other fun stuff that comes along with California. And I fully indulged myself and had a big old time on Clay. That was my first real interaction with Clay Walker that night on the
yeah.
bus with our
Pretty
guitar
sure we
player.
watched the sun come up.
Yeah, and I didn't I got I had to we Clay and I came to a mutual understanding that night that how we were going to roll from then on out, and it was always good. Me and Clay, we love you, brother, now, and he'll text me and stuff, which I've always been a fan, and he never gave me any problems, but it was. We had to set the tone that first night, and we came over the bus and partied together and got everything ironed out, which usually what works best is everybody get around and party together a little bit, and get it on out there and get it over with, and then everything's smooth sailings from then on.
Yep.
So you leave, or you're not with Clay anymore. You're with Cody Jinks at this point.
Yep.
You do that for what, about a year?
Almost a year. Yeah, just about.
And then you go from Cody Jinks.
Me and Jinx parted ways, and then I actually went out and did some stuff with the Steelwoods again. Not like it was like, I don't know, September, October, maybe something like that. I went and did about 2 or 3 weeks out with the Steelwoods, which is funny because I started with the Steelwoods,
Right.
basically. One of my first bands I ever started on the road with. And there was a guy opening up for them named Zach Top, and we were
Really?
doing like less than 1,000 tickets a night out on it was now on the East Coast and stuff. The Steelwoods could always sell really good tickets, but we were doing like California, Nevada, Arizona, stuff like that. So we were doing smaller rooms out there,
Right.
500-600 cap rooms, and yeah, Zach was opening
Kind
up.
of like what Taylor Honeycutt and them are doing now, going out and playing
Yeah,
those rooms, building your name, building your
yeah,
presence, different markets, different towns.
yeah. But Zach was doing like a 30 or 45 minute opening acoustic, or not acoustic. It was full band.
And he had to be young then.
Well, this was only like 2 years ago.
Oh well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, well, he rose to fame pretty fast.
Yeah, this would have been 23. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It was like September, October of 23. I was out with them and
Did you
Zach.
know then? Did you know then that was he was the real deal and was good stuff?
Oh yeah, because I had been like following him for the past 2 or 3 years before that when he was just posting covers online, like right after I guess I started like listening to his stuff on Facebook back when he was still living in Colorado, I guess. And he had maybe just moved to town. And Wes Bayless from the Steelwoods had reached out to him years ago because Wes had found stuff. Wes is the king of finding like the underground, the
Yeah.
best of the best stuff. I don't know how, but he always has been. Um, and Wes had hit him up on a message maybe in 20 like 19, and he was like, "Hey man, I'm a front man for this band, the Steelwoods. I really love your stuff. I'd love to have you come out." And I'm pretty sure Zach messaged him back and was like, "Oh man, I'm really just playing in my living room right now and framing houses or whatever it was." Me and Wes and Zach had this conversation around a pool table one night after a show, but I don't really remember exactly how it went. But Wes told me the story about that uh,
Wow.
and getting into it. And Zach was like, "Man, I don't remember that, but I wish I would have done it back then." And Wes pulled up the messages and found it was pretty cool to see a
Yeah.
full circle moment like that. And then when I was out there on the road with the Steelwoods, I got a phone call from Chris Jansen, and always been a big fan of Chris. I love him to
Yep.
death.
I remember you called me about that.
Yep. Yeah, because y'all had done some stuff together. Him and
Yeah.
yeah, y'all had done some shows together back a while back.
And
And
he actually called me before you called me.
oh, really? Because I talked to so how Chris got in touch with me is a booking agent named Lance Roberts. He was at UTA forever. He's with William Morris now, but he was the agent for Clay. So that's how I knew him.
Sorry, buddy.
You're right.
Had to put a new memory card in my camera.
Oh shit.
I was wondering if I'd run out of space. I thought I had enough room, but didn't know we'd go for 2 hours. But hey, I didn't want to
Hey,
stop the train, so we're gonna keep rolling. Everything's still working.
so
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 you
yeah,
get
so I get
yeah,
this call.
I get a call from Jansen asking me, "You friends with this Boyd guy? What's about him?" I think it was him. Maybe it was just him, or I can't remember
Him
how
and
it went
Kelly
down.
probably together. They're
I think it
always
was him, maybe him on the phone and Kelly in the background. Him like, I'm gonna ask him, I'm gonna talk to him,
yeah.
while we're going. And then like literally like 45 minutes after I get off the phone with him, you called and like, hey, you done shows Jansen. What you think? How you think I'd fit over there? And I'm like,
Yeah.
he is a Mountain Dew Missouri madman, but he
Yeah.
is gold. And I mean, you're gonna have a good time. That's for sure.
Oh
You're
yeah,
gonna learn a
heart and
lot.
soul for sure, both of them. Yeah, and how I got that call from him is a guy named Lance Roberts that was the agent. He's booking agent for Clay, still is, and still with Jansen too. And I called him and Kurt Miley, a couple guys over at UTA because that's who I spent a lot of time with, just saying, hey, I'm looking for something. If you know of anybody, let me know or whatever. And then I mean, within 30 minutes of after me calling them, they was like, hey, I got somebody who might be interested. I'm gonna send him your resume, blah blah. And like you said, not long after that, he called you and I called, and it was pretty much a done deal within about an hour. And I finished out those shows with the Steelers the rest of that month and started with Jansen. And yeah, he like you said, he's a Mountain Dew drinking, Missouri Wild man. That is
Cigar
one of the
smoking,
best live shows you'll ever see.
full of
One of,
energy.
I mean, 90 to nothing. Soon as he steps on that stage, I mean, he's a whole nother dude. He turns it on and it is just incredible. He's
Yeah,
got the most energy of anybody I've ever seen.
yes, a performer. I mean, what a performer. I mean,
Oh,
and he cut
plays
his
every
teeth.
instrument on stage,
Oh yeah, and he
performs
cut his
before
teeth
Jerry
learning
Lewis
how to
is
interact
done.
with the crowd, doing that all those years on Broadway in
Oh yeah,
Nashville,
yeah,
and that's a unique in behind the scenes thing too. Most like I work Justin Moore, who I'm a tour manager for currently. He likes to take the bus everywhere. We rarely fly. I mean, we'll fly
yeah,
private some. We used to more, not much now. He'd rather just bus it and fly commercial if we have to get back from the West Coast or something. But
yeah.
he likes to take the bus. Chris is the opposite. Y'all have a bus there for the band and crew that leaves from Nashville, but Chris flies in private locally and then gets an SUV to bring him
Well,
to the venue in and out every night.
I and he likes to drive himself, and I respect Chris a lot because he wants to be home with his family as much as he can,
Yes.
and
Yep.
I'm all about it. And I love his family, boy.
Oh
I
yeah.
love Kelly and Jesse and Georgia.
Jesse's my
Yeah,
boy right there. And I
yeah.
saw him last time. He was on stage with Chris, man. He did so good. I was so
Oh
proud for
yeah,
him. He did so
that boy,
good.
he's got it.
Yes. Oh yeah, man. I love that. Love their family. But so yeah, it's a unique situation. He's basically like a baby Hank Jr. when it comes to that. He
Yep.
emulates his whole style there, kind of with that,
Yep.
whether intentionally or not. I'm sure it's intentionally. He's a big
Oh
Hank
yeah,
fan, like we all are.
and yeah, yeah.
So then you're with Jansen. You leave Jansen and go to
Yep.
another one. Which talking earlier about running. That's why I asked about Zach Top. The first time you saw him, did you know that was something special? Because throughout my career, I can recognize. I'm not the greatest or anything, but I can recognize talent. I know when somebody's good. I know when I like something, and I
Yeah.
also realize when something's different and it's just special.
Yeah.
And I can remember that, like when I met Wayne. But when I first time I heard John Party in a rehearsal room in somebody's basement in East Nashville, I called my buddy and was like, "Dude, I'm gonna work for this guy, and if he plays his cards right, he's anything he wants in this is his because he's
Yeah.
the real deal." Same with Riley Green. When I met Ella and Joy Beth when they were doing acoustic down at the Floribama during the pandemic, there was nobody there, and I remember thinking these girls are very talented.
Yeah.
It's something different. And then a good while back, and we talked, and this leads into I think the next artist you work for, one you've worked for recently, is I remember going and watching the Cadillac 3 play a show in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Rev Room, and they're opening. We walk in to find room for Justin and his friends and family to put them somewhere so we could, come in and watch the show. Small venue, cool venue in downtown Little Rock, but me and the bus driver go in to find space, and we're trying to find it. And we keep turning to the stage, and we're just mesmerized. And this girl is absolutely killing it. And it was Morgan Wade. And I remember thinking right then, that's different. And I remember talking to Jaron on the bus afterwards. I was like, "Who is this?" She's a friend of ours. She's coming to Nashville, this and that. I was like, "Man, she is fantastic." And I remember having that name in my head for a few years, and then
Yeah.
several years later, boom.
Yeah. So she actually did some shows with us with the Steelwoods a long time ago. So I
Oh
actually
wow,
met
that
her
makes
way
sense.
way long back. Yeah. But no, that wasn't my next deal. I did a hip hop act for a
That's
couple.
right.
Yeah. And that was, man, that was a lot of fun. If those boys stayed busy enough to keep somebody full time, just hip hop doesn't do more than, 50 shows a year, maybe. And these guys are so international, they only do maybe 20 shows a year in the
And what was
States.
the name of that act?
Uh, Joey Valance and Bray. And for anybody that watches baseball or whatever, they're on a lot of baseball like commercials and play a lot over stadiums. They do a lot of stuff with Pepsi. So you've heard, whether you know it or not, you've heard their music. If you watch TV or listen to any commercials on radio or Spotify or anything, like you've definitely heard their stuff. Joey Valance
Wow.
and Bray, two guys from State College, Pennsylvania, and
Wow.
Mark O put me on that gig. Uh,
Neat.
Yep. Their manager, Jonathan, LA guy, him and Mark knew each other. And after Jansen, I was looking for something and Mark hit me up about this gig. And I was like, I don't know. I've never done anything other than country, but I'll talk to him, when we did a Zoom call. And they called me back the next day, and they had done several interviews with people, and they were like, "Man, the guys really liked you, so we're gonna move forward." And we did about 6 weeks all over the states. I mean, we started in Dallas and did, Dallas up through the Midwest, up and down the East Coast, New York, Pennsylvania, DC, all the way down, and then went down through the Southeast, Nashville, and went all the way to the West Coast. And we ended in Sacramento or San Francisco. San Francisco. Yep. So we
Wow.
did 6 weeks. I mean, and hit shit 30 states probably.
Yeah, most people don't tour. That's what I was talking about the tour schedule. Most people don't tour like we do in country, which we call weekend warrior style, where you
Right.
usually leave on a Wednesday and you come home on Sunday. Most
Yeah.
people either do it around an album or they'll go play. I know Rock and Roll and Brantley did those with Five Finger Death Punch a few years
Yeah.
ago. They would go do like 45 dates in a row, some
Yeah.
days off in between and come back, but and then off sums. With country,
Yeah.
it usually works. You can work for the artist all year long because you're going to do shows consistently throughout the year. But with the hip hop duo, it was just there, and then they would bounce overseas and do stuff or take a
Yeah.
couple of months off. So
Yeah.
really didn't
They
make
did
sense.
like I said, we did like I want to say about six or 7 weeks here. And then we were doing like 3 or 4 shows in a row with one day off. And
Wow.
we were working.
And what kind of crew? What kind of band and crew is involved in something like that?
It was with these guys, it was me, the two singers, a photo of a video, and a merch guy.
Wow. I always
Yeah.
thought
Oh,
that. I
and
met
a DJ.
And a DJ, yeah, you got to have a DJ doing that.
Yeah,
I
because
remember the
it
first
was
time I met
no band. It was just a
no
DJ.
band at all. I remember the first time I met Ron White out in Vegas, and he was, he was saying it's just him and his one guy who's been with him 20 years. That was his assistant that helped him and went and did his show that night. And I'm thinking, man, comedian's easy. You don't have a band, you don't need a
Right,
crew, you just need
right.
somebody watching, make sure the sound's good, and a t-shirt. I
Yeah,
mean, how easy would that be?
yeah.
So anyway, you go from these guys, the hip hop duo, to what's the next gig?
And so I take so the next job wasn't even a road gig. I was actually like a house production manager for a venue in Montgomery called the Montgomery Performing Arts Center.
That's right.
It's a 2,000 cap theater
Did
downtown.
you met my boy Matt Irby during that time,
Yep,
huh?
yep, that's right. Yep, I Dalton and Matt knew each other because Matt was going down to the Bama and
Yep.
running sound, and I'd met him through him, and then that's actually the job that I took because he went to another property up in Muscle Shoals.
Mm.
And so the guy that runs that place, the GM, Alan Sanders, who's been there since it's opened 18 years ago, me and him have always been really tight.
And
And so
Bill
I did that.
Young, wasn't he involved
Yep,
there?
Bill Young worked there for a long time. He wasn't there the same time I was there. Bill worked there for a really long time. Um,
Overkill Bill, legend.
Bill,
He
yeah,
gets
I
so.
had him on the road with Clay a little bit.
I remember you telling me. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine that. And Bill,
Ah,
man, some wild nights back in the day. And I'm not going to tell too many of those and get Bill in trouble. But he used to get so mad at me when I'd run into him when I was with Southern Holler or something because I would introduce him as, this is my buddy Overkill Bill. He used to be our sound guy, badass from Montgomery. He used to run sound for ABBA. And he
yeah,
was like, of all the people I've ever done production for, you always bring up
yeah,
ABBA. I'm like,
yeah,
man, it's ABBA though, dude. They were
yeah,
international, huge pop act. I
yeah.
mean,
He
who?
was the
I don't know anybody else that's
his
ever worked for ABBA.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I did that, and I was training a production manager to the guy, he was a stage manager, and great. His name's Michael Oliver. He's awesome. I was training him to go from stage manager to tech director, production manager there of the venue. I did that for 3 or 4 months, and at the time I got on with Billy Currington in November of this past year, 24. Got on with Billy Currington. And, Billy doesn't tour much, um, but I did that. Come February or whatever, something happens. Me and Billy have to part ways. Not a big deal. Whatever, it happens. So I wasn't with Billy too long, and then I am going out with a girl named Morgan Way, like you said. One of my buddies, Clint Perry, is actually her tour manager, and he had already committed to something else for the first part of the year. And so I go out with Morgan for a couple of weeks and do that deal. And she's great, man. She, like you said, she is so different. Her sound is so unique and just talented.
Her
So
stage presence,
she is a badass.
yeah,
Like
badass. Yes,
top to bottom.
yes,
Like I love that chick, and she is
yes,
just a bad. And she's one of the boys. You know what I mean?
yeah.
She,
I've never got to hang out with her. I hope to meet her and get to hang some
yeah,
at some point. But yeah, I'm a big fan, and I knew that day she's special, and I could tell she's. And I remember watching her videos. You just country as cornbread from
yeah. Oh my
West
God.
Virginia and her sister and all that stuff, and trying to take care of the
Yeah,
family. It was awesome.
yeah.
I think I can remember her hearing her in the car, like listening to her song on the radio for the first time, like everybody does. And I just remember being like, I'm happy and proud for her
So
for sure.
cool, man. So freaking cool. And then while I'm out on the road with her, that wasn't a full-time gig with Morgan,
Yeah, you
like
were just filling in
like,
for your buddy,
and I did
basically.
a couple weeks or whatever with her, but and then I got a call from some managers, the guy that they manage, a guy named Chase Matthew, which super cool guy.
Yep.
I mean, and another badass that they kind of Chase and these two managers, Ken and Snap. His name's Lloyd. Everybody's always called him Snap, Big Snap. And they just, man, they're killing, doing it everything by themselves. They do have, Chase did sign a record deal, I think, last year, but they're doing pretty much everything by themselves, and they kind of learned together. I mean, Ken's been
Right.
around for a while, but Ken was doing mostly comedy. Excuse me, and doing mostly comedy. He had Larry the Cable Guy for a long time.
I got you.
And then, he also managed like the Lax and like I think he had Big Smo and Georgia Boys and stuff like that. And I'd actually met them at a festival when I was with Jansen, like 2 summers ago or whatever, or I guess last summer, 2 summers ago, whatever. They were direct support for us on a festival in Ohio, and I got to meet them. Super cool guys because I had been a fan of Chase, and had the same booking agent and stuff like that. So it was always good to always good to meet your mates like that,
Absolutely.
because you never know when you'll see him again. And hey, come to find out, next time I saw him was sitting in on a job interview. They called me and was like, "Hey man, we know who you are. Of course, we met. I was like, oh yeah, I remember y'all. So and so." We go and sit down, and man, we just fucking we hit it off. You know. And so I've been with Chase since March. Yeah, yeah, since
And
like
loving it so far. I've seen the pictures, like great crowds, good
oh
time.
yeah, that kid is on fire. We're selling out every show. We just did 2 shows with Mega Maroney here in Nashville at the Pinnacle, which if y'all haven't been to the Pinnacle venue yet, it is beautiful.
Really.
They take such good care of it. Like it's probably the most artist friendly venue that I've ever been to in Nashville.
Wow.
Yep. And so I've been
Wow.
out
Yeah.
with Chase, and we're on
I
this.
met him once at the Opry
Yeah,
several months back. He wanted to meet Justin because I guess he was a fan, and then
yeah,
we met. So that's the only time I've met him. But super nice guy, tall kid, if I remember right.
yeah, yeah.
And which is good because you're tall too. That
Right.
works.
Yeah.
Everybody said me and Justin like Mutt and Jeff,
Yeah.
But I met him and it couldn't have been a nicer guy. And that's awesome, killing it. And so, are you currently out on a tour with someone,
So we've been doing
or
all headline
blending it?
shows so far this year, but starting May 22nd, we start out with Keith Urban on the Keith Urban World Tour, and our first show is actually in Gulf Shores
Oh
at
wow,
at the amphitheater, yep, at the wharf.
dude! Oh yeah, I hope I'm in town for that.
So
Gosh, I hope I'm in town for
yeah,
that.
we got Dalton. Dalton is playing Jared's place that night, so we're all going to hang out over there
Beautiful.
and probably go load up and go to the Bama on the way out of town because we're going to Atlanta the next night. Or was the
Yeah.
Verizon Wireless Amphitheater in Alpharetta.
Yep.
So yeah, we're gonna go do that. But yeah, we got 55 dates with Keith as direct support. It's like 30, if I remember right, it's 30 in the States, and then like 15 in Australia. So we're going to Australia for a month,
Wow.
and then 10 or 12 in Canada.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Well, y'all go check them out on tour for sure. Go
Yeah,
see them at a show. Come see us at the Wharf if
yeah,
I'm not there. Y'all come see that show and
that's gonna
keep
be awesome, man.
and go check out Chase Matthews on that and follow him and go see Boyd at a show and tell him you enjoyed the
Yeah.
podcast and all that good stuff. What's your social handles, Boyd? So if anybody wants to reach out to
It's
you on there.
all Boyd Causey TM, BoydCausey TM. So
There, yeah, go
it's
hit him
all
up. And I don't have any. I don't have. I usually do this thing where I play voicemails, like I was saying earlier. I had the Jake
yeah,
Worthington voicemail, but I didn't. I don't have any new ones dialed up. I've got a couple of good ones on there, but I don't have them pulled up to play right now. So we'll skip that. And we've been going for a while, so I don't want to keep you on here too long. And I've got to go
yeah,
actually get some road report stuff and some T-shirts mailed out
yeah,
myself
yeah,
before 4. But I do have a few things that I do with every guest we have on that I'd like to do now. And all the stories we didn't tell. Obviously, Boyd, if you can't tell, we're close, and he's going to be on this show a lot. So
yeah,
if there's
yeah,
anything you missed or want to hear or want him to tell, use 424 Handler. Leave me a voicemail, send a text, leave us a questions for Boyd or any of the conversations we've been having, and we'll make sure to talk about them next time. Or you can at JR the Handler. Send them to me or at Boyd Causey
yeah,
TM. Send them to him as well. Go to
yeah,
jrthehandler.com for links to everything. You leave it on the YouTube anywhere. Hopefully we'll find them and get to it and hear your name on the radio or on the podcast
yeah.
show. But a few things I do here. And while I'm going to ask this question and I'll get something else going while I'm pulling this up. What's your birthday, real quick?
Uh, April 1st,
Of what year?
96.
Wow, I was driving. I was in a lot. I was up to no good in April 1st of
Yeah,
'96, buddy. I can tell you that.
yeah.
Um, well, while I pull this up, one of the questions I have here, I have just a few, but one of them is I've asked people, what is the biggest or most well-known name in your phone, or what's the number in your phone that you think is just so crazy that you have this number in your phone?
Man, I don't know if this counts or not because he's just recently passed, but Toby Keith.
Wow, you had Toby's number.
Yeah, we did a lot of shows with, when I was with Clay, we had the same manager as Toby. And
TK.
yep, yep. And man, I love Toby, and I don't know why, but he loved me. We'd go hang out on the bus and drink after the show. Me and Toby and TK and Clay and Jason and all those guys. Yeah, they were always great to us, and I was always a huge Toby Keith fan, and I love that dude to death.
Man, that's a good one, brother. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Roll 'em easy, Toby Keith. What a
yeah,
great, I mean,
boy.
what a just, and on his way out, boy, he did it with grace and
Yeah,
his own way, and he left us with something special on the way out. But man,
yeah,
it's just I tell people, the longer you're in this business, the more people you know, the more that kind of stuff you have to deal with as an adult. It's not fun. Again, they never told us about this part. They told us
right.
about the pretty girls and the wine, but they didn't tell us about
Sure.
this part. Well, the next thing I have on here, and I'm sure you're a fan of this person, is I do birthday number one. This was
Right.
the number one song in country music on the day you were born.
Okay.
So no April Fool's Day for your folks that day. You're coming into the world, probably late afternoon, if I had to imagine.
Yep.
And the number one song is they get they're so happy they got little baby boy there, and he's beautiful, and he's got a little red beard, and he's just handsome, and he's already got a couple of tattoos out the womb.
Probably.
And on the way home, they turn on Georgia's classic or Georgia country's biggest country channel, and Lon Helm comes on and says the number one song this week in country music is, who do you think it was?
Tracy Bird, Watermelon Crawl.
That's a good guess. I'll give you some hints. Man, one of my favorite female artists of all time,
You know artist, okay.
and she still gets drugged back in, and has recently over the last couple years with things involving her home state, and she tears it down when she comes out. One
Uh,
of the
Jody Messina?
no, similar, different vibe. Was
Hmm.
man toted the flag there for a while. From the great state of Kentucky, friends with
Lucky.
was on the front was
Does
on.
she wear a cowboy hat?
Nope, she does not wear
Oh,
cowboy.
I was
I
thinking
remember
Rick Clark.
I remember her on this award show from back in the day where it's Ricky Skaggs, Dwight Yoakam, and maybe Buck Owens and her to start the whole award show out, and I thought it was so good.
From Kentucky?
From Kentucky. Did a thing with Stapleton a few years ago when they were doing the Help Kentucky stuff that was so good.
Man,
Her Harlan County, her version of that.
I
The one and only, the lovely, the ageless, the timeless, the beautiful, the so talented Miss Patty Loveless.
Okay. Yeah.
Is there? I mean, is there not anybody better? I mean, she's just so
No,
good.
you know what? I should have known that because her and Lori Morgan did the Grits and Glamour tour, and
Yes.
I was out and did a couple of those shows. I should have known that.
Yep. And they and did was that Pam Tillis come out and do some shows on that
Yep.
tour?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think.
that's what it was. Her and Pam Tillis. Not yeah. That you're not Patty Loveless.
Yeah, because
It,
Patty doesn't play out
Glamour.
that much.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It was that's who it was.
But Patty Loveless and the song. I doubt you might guess the song. Can you guess what song? Well, not one that comes right first to mind for me though.
And
It's not Timber, I'm Falling in Love. It's not
it's
Chains, Shackles and
um
Chains. I love that tune.
was it the Steelwoods covered this song on their last record. You don't even know my name?
That's a great one. No, not that one. It's You Can Feel Bad by Patty Loveless. That
Okay.
was the April
Yeah.
1st, 1996. That was the number one song in country
Wow.
music that week.
I feel like I should know that.
Yeah, well, you do now, brother. You can
Yep.
pass that on down. You can tell your
Yeah.
folks all that good stuff. So let me do this real quick just for reference here. 196, Patty. Uh, Mount Rushmore of music. Doesn't have to be country. Your personal Mount Rushmore of music. If you had to put, just for reference, John Lazard the other week, he had Ludacris, Metallica. Who did he have? The Beach Boys.
Buddy, that's all over the place.
And who was his country? Did he have Straight or was it? I can't remember who his country was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it can be any genre, just what you consider your personal Mount Rushmore of music.
I know you can't see it because of the way the camera is. I've got a huge thing of the Highwaymen on my wall right here. Um, I would say Skinner for sure. Um, Charlie Daniels. Um, hmm, Merle Haggard. Uh, Man, that fourth one is going to be tough. Corey Smith.
Wow.
Yeah, I love me some Corey Smith.
That's a great one too. Anybody that hadn't heard of Corey Smith, go look him up. Georgia legend,
Yeah,
college radio. I mean, he finally got some of his due as well, like
yeah,
Bolin, way overdue. But
yeah.
if when you were in college in the '90s and 2000s, man, Corey
Oh, yeah.
was on fire, and
There
it
was a
was
joke, always kind of a thing I had heard from several people. It's like, man, if you ever just want to hit it big and be a big star, just go open up for Corey Smith because Riley, Muscadine, Brantley, Colt Ford. I mean, so many people.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've
Yeah,
said that about Justin Moore in the last 6 8
yeah,
years too.
yeah,
Everybody, I mean,
yeah.
when
No
it first
kidding.
started, it was Thomas Rhett was opening for us, and Dustin Lynch and John Party. I met him. We were first to three on that tour, and
Yeah,
then the first tour I ever worked for just Justin. The first night we did some one-offs at the end of the tour. That was the tour I was on with John. At the end of that tour, I went and worked for Justin like October, November. The first two shows we did, Chris Stapleton was the opening act on one
yeah.
bus. And then
And
just
didn't Cody Johnson do some shows with y'all
Cody
way back?
Johnson
Yeah,
opened for us for a tour, and then fast flip 5 years later we swapped roles. I mean, it's just there's been tons of those, and Worthington. I mean, just
man.
everybody. So
Yeah,
it's awesome how that works, and it's cool. That's why you good to meet everybody and see everybody, because in this business you're going to meet everybody either on your way up or on your way
yeah,
down,
yeah,
and the best is to not burn any bridges and be cool. That way you can always, it's unless it's a pin pulling offense or something that needs to be lit fire to,
yeah,
it's not worth it.
yeah. You
Well,
think Alden in here
go
to
ahead.
say hey real quick?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I just take like I said, I know earlier he was showering and getting dressed, whatever. Yeah, damn, I didn't realize how long we had been on
I
here.
know. Well, like I told everybody, y'all make sure to go jrthehandler.com, YouTube, podcast on iTunes, Spotify, all that fun stuff. Like, rate, subscribe, share it with your friends. Send this to someone.
Yeah,
That'd be the biggest thing that could help the show. Send it to
yeah,
a friend of yours. To text the link, send the link to somebody, spread the word that way. You can go to the page and buy a piece of merch. That'll help cover some of the cost, or you can throw a tip at the Cash App or the Venmo at JR the Handler.
you
But come check us out, and
you're gonna be so jealous of this T-shirt.
I can't wait. We've got Dalton Bush coming on camera for a minute, and look at this handsome sun gun right there. How are you, Hoss?
Good, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. Y'all look great, man. Looks like the next Brooks and Dunn right there.
Yeah,
Brooks and well done right there,
yeah,
or
You know,
broken well done. Maybe that's what we'll
broken.
call it,
yeah. No shitting.
man. And hey, I'm in my studio right now, which both of you guys have been to. I can't wait for y'all to come back over and let's do a podcast together in the
Yeah,
studio. And there'll be more whiskey for y'all now that I'm not drinking. But y'all know I got a stash, buddy, and I ain't
oh
throwing it
yeah,
away. So I'll have
yeah,
a sip with you guys when y'all come. But
yeah.
Boyd was telling us about the ragweed show. Dalton, how was that experience for you, brother?
Man, I'm still like 12 feet high right now. I've been wearing this shirt for 3 days. I'm just like,
So if you go see a Dalton Bush show in the next
Uh,
6 to 8 months, good chance he's gonna have on that ragweed shirt.
yep, yep. And playing more bowling than bowling plays.
How good was bowling, dog? Because I'm a huge bowling guy too, man. That's my
man,
guy.
it was great. I mean, the intro, they walked out to, the boys are back in town.
Yeah,
The whole show, like he hit all the hits and he hit on the new record, a couple songs off
yeah,
the new record. I mean, you really couldn't ask for a better 30-minute like slot.
yeah,
I bet, man. That's insane. And I hope this turns into some more work for them, and more shows, and more places and opportunities for fans and people like us to get to go see them, because I want to catch some of that while it's
for sure.
happening right now too.
For sure. I'm hoping, like you said, this sparks a fire for not only those, six artists, but all the other guys that we talked about, like Dallas Moore and Wade and Randy and Fowler,
Adam Hood and
Adam
everybody.
Hood. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And I want to make sure to get the Wayne Mills band stuff up and going, so everybody, once
yeah.
they're going down those rabbit holes, can see where
Oh,
I
yeah.
come from on that level. Well, boys, it was good to see y'all. I know y'all got all kinds of catting around to do. Y'all keep Nashville straight and safe, and like the do-gooders you guys are. And I hope to see y'all soon. Boyd, thanks for coming on. I know we were on here for a long time, and we'll do it again soon. If anybody's got questions or comments for either of these guys, 424 Handler, leave us a voicemail, hit us on socials, all that fun stuff. Thank you, fellas.
All right,
Y'all be
buddy. We
safe.
love
Holler
you.
at me sometime. Love y'all. We'll see y'all
Peace.
soon.
Brother.
Well, that sure was fun. That was my brother Boyd Causey, current tour manager for Chase Matthews. Go check them out at a show. Sounds like they're having a lot of fun on the road. Come see us at a Justin Moore concert. Hit us up on socials. Like, rate, subscribe, click, all that fun stuff. We're going to try to play some stuff at the end of this if possible. But send us some message, questions, comments, all that for the next show. I hope y'all enjoyed this one. And come see us next week. Download these and see us every week, and hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm JR the Handler. This is the JR the Handler Show, and I'll see you down that old dusty country road of music.